Mina Kimes Show, featuring Lenny.
There's been games during the Chiefs win streak where they've had opening drives where you're like, okay, Kansas City, you are just taking it. Green's working, the run's working, the power running's working. Holmes is taking those little hitches and flat routes and everything. This game, it was start to finish. He was not impatient. He was not forcing balls. They were happy to work their way up the field. And to me, like, that's the scariest sight in the NFL.
Listen and subscribe to the Mina Kimes Show, featuring Lenny, wherever you listen to podcasts.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Well, as a Browns fan, the only thing I have going for me is that, you know, the success against the Bengals has continued. It didn't involve Baker Mayfield or anything along those lines. But happy Monday. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We are coming at you live here from the WING studios here in Kettering. The show brought to you by Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. And, of course, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Talking plenty of NFL today, Black Monday. A lot of coaches, not so surprising coaches losing their jobs today. And one really surprising coach lost their job today. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. But I'm excited to kick off today's show, of course. The Cincinnati Bengals back in the playoffs for the first time since 2015. And not only are they in the playoffs, but they are in the playoffs as AFC North Champions. And I thought it was going to be a Bengals-only party, but somehow Kev Nash's Steelers got into the mix. I mean, they just can't let the Bengals have the – I have no clue how the hell that happened.
Oh, we're going to get into it.
Oh, we are going to get into it. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, we're definitely going to talk about that.
Oh, my goodness. But former Bengals quarterback, as we get ramped up for the Bengals playoff game against the Raiders on Saturday. Excited to kick off the week with former Bengals quarterback, MVP quarterback, and part of the inaugural Ring of Honor class, of course, in Cincinnati, Mr. Ken Anderson. Ken, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Were the Browns playing this next week?
Really? That's how we're going to. That's fair. You know, it's the Bengals week. It's fair.
You know, you wanted to go ahead and blow your horn about beating the Bengals twice this year, and you beat our backups last week. Congratulations, and just enjoy the off season.
Oh, it's back to the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Steelers are in the playoffs. The Browns are back to talking about their draft selection. I mean, my goodness. But what a year! Now, look, we all know. Like, I'm critical of the Bengals organization coming into this season. Like, they had won 6 games in 2 years. But I've eaten a lot of crow, and I've admitted I was wrong plenty of times. So I'm not gonna sit here and try to stick to my guns. But an unbelievable. You were very optimistic about this team coming into the year, Ken. How optimistic were you, though, with where they've ended up? I mean, you were optimistic about them coming in, but were you AFC North champions optimistic, hosting a playoff game optimistic? How surprising has this season been for you?
Pleasantly surprised, I will say. I thought maybe they might be a year away, but, my gosh, Joe Burrow has just been spectacular, and the weapons he's got with, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Boyd and Mixon and Uzama's been playing a big part of it. And, the Bengals spent a lot of money, on defense. And I think, that's paid off a little bit too. And, it's the offensive line has been holding up. And that was the thing that kind of worried me this year. And they've been getting by.
Ken, when you think back, I mean, what do you think the nerves are like for? And look, Joe Burrow, he's won a national championship. He was a Heisman winner, the number 1 overall pick, and he's definitely lived up to the billing. I mean, he has this franchise back at the top. And what do you think what are his nerves like this week? And if you can compare it to your first week building up to your first playoff appearance, if you could take us back to the build up to your first playoff appearance, what was that week like compared to any other week of nerves that you had to experience?
Well, I came from Augustana College. There's a big difference there. And this was, my second year starting in 73. We won the division we were playing. And unfortunately, we went down to Miami and played down in Miami. And, we stayed up here in Cincinnati all week in practice. And it was cold up here. And we didn't go down till Saturday afternoon to play the game against the Dolphins. And I got to tell you, from a kid from Batavia, Illinois, and Augustana College, I was a little nervous before that one.
The matchup this playoff scenario with the Cincinnati Bengals. They're playing a team that they already beat once before. How do you think that plays out on Saturday with this matchup with the Raiders and everything like that, considering that the Bengals have already went out to Las Vegas and beat them up pretty bad, 32-13?
Well, and the Raiders, but they played good last night, and they've got a good football team, and luckily we've got them at home, and we've got them in our weather, and I think now it's just about going out and executing and playing the type of football that they've played at the end of the season. My gosh, against Kansas City, they played exceptional football, and then come back and I know Baltimore was a little shorthanded, but playing well. And, I think it goes back now just to executing and do the things that you've been doing and do them well.
At what point in this season, Ken, did you realize that this team had that it factor? I mean, did it take long? They started out 5-2. I know they kind of hit a rough patch at the midway point, but at what point watching this team again from a former player's perspective, did you say, okay, this team has it. This isn't us hoping that they live up to the hype. This team actually has it. At what point did you think that kind of hit for you?
I think it was late in the season. Gosh, everybody was riding high when, they go to Baltimore and put a whipping on the Ravens, and then they part of the Ring of Honor this year, which I was very honored to go in the first class. But, it was a period of time where, we could focus on the past a little bit. And in the 70s and 80s, we were as good as any team in the National Football League. And we've got a tradition here in Cincinnati, and we've got a winning tradition. And just unfortunately, it hasn't shown up a lot lately. And we take a beating a little bit in the national media. So, just to be at that point where, gosh, whether it's this year or next year, it's just you see such a bright future, with this team, with a quarterback that's going to be one of the best in the league, and just the quality of receivers that they've got is just, it's kind of fun to say I'm a Bengal again.
The offense gets all the love and the quarterbacks and the weapons at wide receiver and everything like that. You mentioned it earlier, the amount of money that the Bengals spent on the defense this past offseason, and it's definitely helping them out all season long.
Yeah, quality corners, although we've had a couple of guys nicked up, and, Hendrickson, my gosh, what's he got, about, 10 sacks, 10 and a half sacks so far this year. We can rush the passer, we're going to have to hold up against the run. But we've shown that we can do that at times. And so, we were talking about, at times we've seen, all phases of the game be extremely successful. And now it's time to put it all together for the playoffs.
One name we haven't brought up yet, of course, has been Jamar Chase. And, go back to last year's draft, Ken, when we talked about, whether they should go offensive line with Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase. And, of course, like I said, I've admitted I'm wrong on a lot of things. I still, I would have liked to see it more of an emphasis on the offensive line, but you can't sit here and deny what the results have been. And he hasn't just been a good rookie wide receiver, Ken. He's been an elite wide receiver that, take the term rookie away, I mean, he's up there with the best of the most experienced receivers in the NFL right now. I knew you were, happy with the draft selection, but how far, how has he surpassed what your expectations were for him coming into this season?
Well, no question. And I was one of those guys, I'm thinking, man, I'm always for offensive linemen, but I will say this, that the Bengals would not be in the playoffs without Jamar Chase. And he's had an impact. Gosh, you remember in the preseason they're talking about, boy, he can't catch a pass. And Joe Burrow says, don't worry, when the lights come on, he'll be there. Kind of reminds me back in 1973 when Isaac Curtis came into the league. Was a great receiver with speed. And, the game that is so much different back in those days that, we only threw it about 20 times a game. But, for Isaac to come in and make the difference that he did for the Bengals and was a big factor that we went to the playoffs that year. And then, you talk about weapons on the other side from Isaac, we had Charlie Joyner, who turned into be once he got with Dan Fauci, turned into a Hall of Fame receiver for some reason. But, we had, good players back then. And like I say, to see the impact that he's made, and you can tell the rapport that he has with Joe Burrow from the days down at LSU, and it's paid off big time.
The Browns or the Ravens, which team do you feel more happiness in your gut watching them not be in the postseason this year?
Well, if going back to my first days as a Bengal, with Paul Brown, it was always the Browns were the heated rivalry. And I remember in '71, my first trip to Cleveland playing, and the buses had to stop by the stadium and go and walk through the old stadium because Paul said, it's a cavernous place, and I don't want you to be surprised tomorrow. And, like I say, for a kid out of Augustana to look at a stadium like that is holy crap. But so they've always been the big rivalry, and, for me. But gosh, but you talk about the division. Is it Cleveland? I mean, is it Pittsburgh? I'm pretty satisfied that they swept the Steelers this year. That makes me feel pretty good. And, and then the advent of the Baltimore Ravens. So it's one heck of a division.
Ken, I'm glad you brought up the Steelers before we let you go. Ken Anderson, former Bengals MVP quarterback, with us. You were the quarterbacks coach in Pittsburgh in the late 2000s into the 2010s, of course, and you got to experience coaching Big Ben Roethlisberger for a bit there. Obviously, his time in Pittsburgh coming to an end. We thought yesterday would have been his last game, but it's going to end in the playoffs, whether it be against Kansas City or maybe even after that matchup. But thinking back to your time with Ben Roethlisberger, and here we are 10, 11 years, 12 years later. My goodness, it's been a long time. Your thoughts on Big Ben as he calls it a career after this season?
Well, I mean, I think you can see that his arm isn't what it once was, but his playmaking ability is. And, to go down and that drive to win it, he's throwing out patterns and the zip wasn't there, but it was perfectly placed. And he hit the receiver over the middle that could back in for a first down that set up, the winning field goal. So, as Mike Tomlin, I heard an interview with him, and he said, we've been seeing Ben do this for 18 years now, so it's not a real surprise. He says, when everybody else gets going fast and gets nervous, he's the one that calms everybody down and makes plays, and he did it again.
All right, Ken, as we send you out, Bengals, Raiders, this coming up Saturday. Before we found out who their opponent was going to be this past Friday, Kevin and I had a debate about, you look at the Bengals offense. They have an elite offense with an average defense. And then, of course, that saying, defense wins championships. Would you rather have a team like Cincinnati that's an elite offense with an average defense, or would you rather have a team that has like an average offense with an elite defense, like let's say the New England Patriots with Mac Jones-led offense? Which style of team would you feel more comfortable with from a fan's perspective heading into the postseason?
Well, as a Bengal fans, I'm going to take the offensive one because I know we can score points. And if sometimes you get in those games and can you win in a shootout, and we can do that. We can, and against good defenses, we've shown that we can play. I mean, when we played Baltimore earlier, they were an elite defense. They had all their guys, and we shredded them. So, we can go ahead and we can play with anybody with the guys we got.
Yeah, and that's what I said. That was my point as well, as I know most people are going to kind of go and roll with the defensive side, but I said even a good defense, if they slow down Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Joe Mixon, I mean, you're slowing them down. You're not going to stop them. The same way you don't stop Patrick Mahomes, you just hope to slow him down. But in a shootout, it's down to luck, and hopefully you have the ball last and the ball's in Joe Burrow's hands. But if not, you end up like last night, Justin Herbert didn't have the ball in his hands, and he had to sit back and watch, which is why I'd feel more comfortable going against a team like the Patriots as opposed to a team that can kind of shoot it out with Joe Burrow. That was my reasoning kind of heading into this past weekend. You like the Raiders matchup, though?
Yeah, because we played them before, so I think there's a familiarity. And then, the other thing that we haven't talked about is our kicker McPherson this year. That he's kind of been a secret weapon. I was a little bit leery because he had earlier in the year, he had a couple chances to beat Green Bay for us, and had some misses. But since then, he's been on fire. And my gosh, how many 50-yarders has he had in a row now? So, if we get down and we got a chance for a field goal, I feel pretty comfortable with our kicker.
All right, Ken, thank you so much. I'm deemed a Bengals hater. I promise you I'm not a Bengals hater. I am a Browns fan, but because I appreciate you coming on the show and because I appreciate the Bengals fans here in Dayton that put up with me, I'll give you a who day on the way out. So a big all who day from Justin Kinner to Ken Anderson today.
You got it. Thanks, guys. And have me on again, will you please?
Anytime, sir. Thank you. All right, good stuff. That was Ken Anderson, former Cincinnati Bengal, and you notice he jumped on me at the very beginning
from the jump.
I mean,
off the top rope.
He chose violence. I mean, my goodness. But if it's Ken Anderson, I can argue with him.
Yeah, man.
Argue with you, argue with a lot of people. That's no disrespect. But that's Ken Anderson.
It's their time to shine, man. It is their time to shine, man. The Cincinnati Bengals are back in the playoffs, playing good football. So, to the victors go the spoils, I guess.
Be quiet, Kevin.
Why?
Oh, my Steelers.
We're going to talk about it.
No, I know. And that's the thing that's crap.
Oh, we're going to talk about it.
The two teams that were supposed to be 1 and 2 in the AFC North are the two teams looking up at the teams that were supposed to be at the bottom. I remember the summer. I used to sit in that chair over there. You used to sit here. We had a big old argument. It was one of our big arguments that didn't involve the NBA because I said the Steelers were going to finish last. And then I looked at you and rolled my eyes, and you're like, we'll see. We'll see. With the Steelers, we'll see.
I also predicted that the Steelers will sweep the Browns as well.
Oh, I'm Kev. Oh, I'm always right. Oh, look at me. Steelers in the playoffs. I think that hurts more than the Bengals making it and winning the damn division. But I guess this is typical Browns take right here. At least we didn't finish in last. We had that going for us. All right, we'll be back. 518-1410. Shout out to Ken Anderson, former Bengals MVP quarterback. Good stuff there. Bengals Raiders this weekend. We'll talk talk about that matchup coming up. 518-1410. Bengals fans, you like this Raiders matchup? Kevin and I will dive into that matchup coming up on the other side, as well as give you our thoughts on last night's Raiders-Chargers game. My goodness, stop me if you've heard this one before. Former Dayton player, now a head coach, doesn't know how to handle time as the game's expiring. I mean, stop me if you've heard that one before. We're talking NFL this time, not college basketball. So there you go. See, look, that was a shot. That was unnecessary. But it made sense. It wasn't good. The Chargers don't even know how to lose right. What a mess. As Keith Byers said, no one deserved to win that game yesterday.
Yeah,
Both
they did.
deserved to tie.
One of them deserved to win. As long as one went on.
All right, folks, we'll be back. 518-1410. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 28. Tonight's going to be clear and very cold, a low near 10. And tomorrow's going to be clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 30. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
When you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get great savings and round-the-clock protection, which is as beautiful as looking your firstborn child in the eyes for the first time. Well, that's a bit much. Maybe it's more like looking your second-born child in the eyes for like the third or fourth time. Point being, the savings and round-the-clock protection are really, really magical.
Forced Metaphors, presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects.
You say goodbye, and I say hello.
With Mercari, your unneeded things can find a new life.
Hello, hello.
Easily list and sell.
I know why you say goodbye, and I say hello.
Or discover great finds.
Hello.
Buy or sell almost anything.
You say goodbye, and I say hello.
Download Mercari on the app stores or at Mercari.com. Mercari, your marketplace.
This is a court-ordered notice. Current and former Volkswagen and Audi owners or lessees may be eligible to receive payments and other benefits from a legal settlement related to allegedly defective Takata airbags in their vehicles. To see if your vehicle is included and to file a claim, go to autoairbagsettlement.com or call 1-888-735-5596. That's autoairbagsettlement.com or 1-888-735-5596.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Hi, it's Steve Mann. Have you heard the commercials for the Mark Patrick Stop Smoking seminars? And they said only $49.99 and it could work for you. So I thought, that's not even a week's worth of smoking. So I went. And guess what? It did work for me. You know, my friends and family are still amazed. I quit smoking. I didn't have cravings, anxiety, or weight gain. Listen, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I'm living proof, and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you got to lose? I'll tell you what you got to lose. A very bad habit.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. Designed to work without anxiety, irritability, or weight gain for only $49.99. Become a non-smoker. That's right. Seminar times are 8 to 10 p.m. on Thursday, January 13th at the Holiday Inn in Fairborn and 2 to 4 p.m. on Saturday, January 15th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Dayton. Registration 30 minutes before seminar.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
As the world gets back on track, now's the time to look forward and make bold, life-changing decisions. If you're ready to complete your college degree or pursue your master's like an MBA, Ohio Dominican University offers a range of innovative programs that match your goals. And with both fully online and on-campus evening formats available, pursuing your degree at ODU also fits your life. Classes are forming now. Get started at ohiodominican.edu. That's ohiodominican.edu.
Deep breaths.
Mize Virtual Meditation Studio has never been busier.
Imagine not working.
They need a remote assistant to realign their scheduling.
Blank calendar. Sorry. Back to your breath.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Make calls, schedule virtual interviews, and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that the widely used non-contact thermometers are not accurate and have high probabilities for false negative readings. New COVID strands are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters most. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Don't wait. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deidre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette party.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Want the same internet but more privacy? DuckDuckGo's got you covered. They help millions of people like you get privacy online without any trade-offs. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Shout out to Ken Anderson, former Bengals MVP quarterback. He came on with us just a little bit ago to open up the show. That's how we wanted to kick off the week, is the build for the Bengals and the Raiders for this Saturday. Do you like the playoff game on Saturday? Is there something special about a Sunday playoff game, or does it matter? The playoffs are the playoffs.
Man, I think the playoffs are the playoffs, but the NFL, they have a lock and key on this weekend with this new super wild card weekend. And they got obviously 2 games on Saturday. They got games on Sunday, and then Monday night game. That's going to be an epic game with the Cardinals and the Rams. Like, the NFL, they know what they're doing, man. They know exactly what they're doing, man. They got us hook, line, and sinker.
So, and Bengals fans, you'll appreciate this. Anytime someone gets a burn in on me, you guys get a big kick out of it. But if you missed the interview with Ken Anderson, the interview opened with him taking a shot at my Browns. Ken Anderson, this is how the interview started. Take a listen. Ken, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Were the Browns playing this next week?
Really? That's how we're going to. That's fair. You know, it's the Bengals week. It's fair.
You know, you wanted to go ahead and blow your horn about beating the Bengals twice this year, and you should beat our backups last week. Congratulations, and just enjoy the off season.
Damn. Oh, enjoy the off season. I mean, my goodness,
brutal.
And I had to take it. I mean, for one, it's Ken Anderson. If that was Charlie, I would have just unleashed. Let's just be clear. But yeah, Ken Anderson. Ken, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Were the Browns playing this next week?
That's how we're going to. That's fair. You know, it's the Bengals week. Come on. But good stuff there. If you missed that interview, we will have that coming up for you here in the next hour as well. We did that did cut out for those watching on Facebook, YouTube. So we'll have that. We'll re-air that coming up around the corner. But good stuff there. Talked with Ken about, taking us back to the build up to his first playoff game, because Joe Burrow has played in some of the biggest games ever. I mean, in the national championship, college football playoff, obviously, and didn't just play in the national championship, literally played at the highest level that game, became the number 1 overall pick, won the Heisman Trophy, of course, and has lived up to the billing ever since. And yet here we are, and he's been silencing critics ever since, including this one right here. So, yes, Ken Anderson, the Browns are not playing anywhere this weekend. They are, they're bragging about bringing Baker back, which we'll get to later on as well. But there you go. So the Bengals and Raiders, we were talking about when we talked to Jay Morrison, covers the Bengals with The Athletic last week. Jay Morrison joined us, and we talked about the two most likely outcomes are going to be most likely either the Chargers, who are not in the playoffs at all now, or the Colts was another team. Colts aren't in the playoffs right now. Or the Patriots. Patriots are in the playoffs, but they're not in the playoff picture for the Cincinnati Bengals, at least this weekend. So the Bengals drew the Raiders, and they took care of business. You mentioned the score. What was it, 30-13 or something crazy like that in Vegas?
Yes, 32-13.
32-13. The Bengals took care of business against the Raiders just a few weeks ago, about a month ago. And they have a rematch coming, and this time it's at Paul Brown. It's in Cincinnati. I should have asked Ken his thoughts on, will this be the year? I mean, it's been 30 years since the Bengals have won in the playoffs. Will this be the year that drought comes to an end? Straight up, point blank. Does that end? Do they beat the Raiders? What are your thoughts on this Raiders matchup heading into Saturday?
Yes, I think that the Cincinnati Bengals will win this game. We saw what Herbert was able to do to that secondary once he started cooking in the fourth quarter and everything like that. I expect the Cincinnati Bengals to do the exact same thing, because their quarterback is just as good as their quarterback. I think their weapons are better than the San Diego, LA Chargers, goodness gracious, better than their weapons. So I think that the Bengals will win this game on Saturday at 4:30
against the Oakland Raiders, right?
Yeah, they got to stop all this moving team stuff.
I mean, I do believe, and people get so bent out of shape. San Diego doesn't have a team. We're really playing this game. People
know who I'm talking about.
Time. Like all the time. One time, Byers called Nick Bosa Joey Bosa. People lost their mind, as if Keith Byers, a former Buckeye great, doesn't know the difference between Nick and Joey. He just happened to say Joey Bosa instead of Nick Bosa. People lost their mind. And I'm like, that's what triggers you people, is the wrong Bosa. I mean, that it doesn't matter. You know who the hell he was talking about. And it's like I'm sure some people listening in their car that aren't on the Facebook thing right away. Oh, this idiot Kev said San Diego. Doesn't he? He has a sports radio show. Doesn't even know that San Diego does it. Really? They were the San Diego Chargers for how long? You think just overnight they just become the LA Chargers? Well, yeah, technically, but it's okay. I've never made a mistake, but when I do, I'll know what it's like to be Kev, I guess. I have no idea.
I remember when the Rams were in St. Louis and everything like that? I mean, it happens, man. These teams, they up and move franchises to different cities for different reasons. And now the Chargers are in LA, but they won't be playing in the playoffs.
Lamar Shelley on Facebook says, I like the Raiders matchup because they're the least talented team in the playoffs. Are the Raiders the least talented team in the playoffs, Kev?
No.
Is it your team?
It is my team.
Okay, I just wanted to hear you say it.
It is.
Your team looks good on paper, though. Like, it's weird, though, because your team has a lot. And we'll get to the Steelers in a moment.
Oh,
but
yes,
I disagree that the Raiders are the least talented, Lamar. I think they're the less flashy. I think the Steelers are more flashy, but I think the Raiders are more talented. But I see what Lamar is getting at. But Lamar says, I hate the matchup because they are the hottest team coming into the playoffs, considering the games they had to win to get in. The Raiders are hot, but I do believe the Bengals are playing better football right now on both sides of the ball. Well, I just don't want to say both sides of the ball. They are playing so well on one side of the ball to overcompensate for the other side that I still think it evens out to being better than what the Raiders are at this point. I just don't think Carr, of course I'm saying this, and Carr just won a shootout. He threw 180-something yards last night. He didn't even throw for more than 200. And you had Justin Herbert throw for 350, 60, 70, whatever it was, 3 touchdowns. So he didn't have to outduel him. That's the one thing I said is, I don't want a quarterback that can outduel Joe Burrow. Well, last night, Carr outdueled Justin Herbert and he didn't outduel him. He threw for under 200 yards and still beat him because he played smarter football. Did the Bengals, by the way, the Bengals, as long as they play turnover-free football, which is not easy to do, but we've seen them do it. I think that they'll be okay. As long as Joe Burrow's not reverting to his old turnover self from about a month ago, I think he'll be okay. But the Bengals, the reason they've played better football as of late has been because they've taken care of the football. But I see Lamar's point. But Lamar, let's be honest. Outside of the Eagles and the NFC, which I know doesn't mean anything to the Bengals, or the Steelers, there's not a matchup that you should feel comfortable with.
Right.
And I'd even say that the Steelers in the playoffs would bring out some demons or ghosts from history's past that you would have to be uncomfortable with. But no, I see you should be worried about the Raiders. I don't think that it's going to be the same as the last time that they played, but I do believe the Bengals should be the favorite. I think they're a 6 or a 7 point favorite heading into this, as they should be. The Raiders should be more concerned about the Bengals, and the Bengals should be concerned about the Raiders, but they have a very smart quarterback that plays the right way, that lets the game come to him. And I think that it's really going to come down to which team makes the least mistakes. I know that sounds very simplistic, but it's really what it comes down to. I thought the Raiders played cleaner football last night, and that's why they ended up coming out on top, although it could have ended in a tie. But the Chargers, more talented team than the Raiders, at least on offense, for sure. But the Raiders played smarter football, and that's really what it comes down to.
Chargers have a terrible run defense, and the Raiders were able to run the ball at will last night, and they had a 15-point lead halfway through the fourth quarter. So when the Raiders had the ball, they shouldn't be passing. They should be running to burn the clock. But to the San Diego Chargers' credit, they were able to take one of those drives, like 17 plays and like 80 yards, and eat up a ton of clock and pass the entire way down the field. And you said it before about Derek Carr, like he plays smart football. He plays winning football. You think about this: comeback victory versus the Browns, comeback victory versus the Broncos, comeback victory versus the Colts, and then another one last night at the Chargers. That's 4 straight comeback from behind victories that the Raiders had going into the playoffs. So we talk about how hot that the Cincinnati Bengals are. I think we're looking at how hot they are based upon like the flashiness and the overwhelmingness and the teams that they beat to get into the playoffs. But when your back's against the wall, like the Vegas Raiders were, because they won 4 straight games to even get into the playoffs. I mean, that's something to be said. I mean, they were sitting there at 6-7 and now they're 10-7. So that's a lot of credit to that whole team.
Yeah, they've won. The Raiders have won 4 straight. Their last loss came against the Kansas City Chiefs a month ago. By the way, that Bengals game was more than a month ago. That was, so there's right. That was in mid-November. So that was more than a month ago, but it seems like not. Anyway, they lost 32-13. They ended up beating the Cowboys the very next week in a close one, 36-33. They'd lose to Washington, lose to the Chiefs, and then go on to beat the Browns, Broncos, Colts, and Chargers, all in come from behind fashion, just like you mentioned. But because the Raiders don't look pretty doing it, right, that's why Cincinnati is going to be the more popular pick in this. But you got to understand, playoff football is completely different.
Yes,
and we're gonna find out how quick Joe Burrow can adjust to that. Last night, if you watched Justin Herbert, you could tell that was a playoff game. I mean, it was. You tie in advance or you win in advance, but that little tie scenario was very interesting. But overall, we saw Justin Herbert as good. I mean, look, he finished with 360-something yards, multiple 3 touchdowns. I mean, he had a great line. They should have won that game based on his performance last night. But go back to that first quarter. He was overthrowing guys, underthrowing guys. The nerves got Justin Herbert. And I don't know if the nerves will get Joe Burrow or not. And I don't want no cocky answers. Oh, Joe Burrow has ice in his veins. Blah, blah, blah. That Justin Herbert is as talented, if not more. I'm still more Justin Herbert. You can't go wrong with either. Forget it. It's not a contest right now of who's better. Justin Herbert's as good, if not better, than Joe Burrow, and nerves got him. So we don't know. You won't know until it's officially kickoff time to see if the nerves are going to get the best of Joe Burrow. We've seen, Jamar Chase drop a lot of passes this year. He's caught a ton. Okay, I know that what he's capable of. Dropping a pass or two isn't going to make me think less of him in this playoff game, but you got to get through that. If they can get through that early stage, that early first quarter of getting the nerves out a bit, but keep in mind, Derek Carr, he's a veteran. Mm-hmm. It's his first playoff game, too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of firsts for both.
The one time that the Raiders qualified for the playoffs under his tenure, he had a broken ankle. He led them to the playoffs. They clinched the playoff spot already. And in that same game that they clinched the spot in the playoffs, he broke his ankle. So he wasn't even able to play in the playoffs that year. He was like on an MVP caliber season until he broke his ankle.
518-1410, 518-1410. Thoughts on this Raiders matchup heading in to this weekend? How do you feel about the matchup? Because we were talking Chargers. I didn't like the Chargers matchup. I know they're not even a playoff team, but that's a good football team. Let's just be clear. I mean, it's not like they got pummeled last night.
he can lead a team. I'm not poo-pooing him at all. I'm just saying, in order for them to do it, to win this game, they are going to have to do something they haven't done all year and go on long, sustained 15, 16-play drives, because we will not give up the big play in this game.
Why in this game? You gave up big plays against the Bengals last time.
No, we didn't.
Joe Mixon, he's on line too.
Joe Mixon had a couple runs inside our territory, yes. But we didn't give up the big 50, 60-yard pass play in that game.
What do you think about traveling on a short week? You guys got to come to Cincinnati. It's on a Saturday at 4:30. What do you think that's going to affect your team?
Well, Cincinnati will be on a short week, too. They played Sunday. Now, Burrow didn't play, and Chase didn't play.
4 or 5 bye weeks.
Most of their defense played, right?
I mean, most of it, but you're right. They might be tired because the Browns just smothered them, just took care of business against them Bengals like they always do. But Jerry, good stuff, man. Call back throughout the week. I know you'll have more to say.
Well, I'm just saying, this isn't going to – Bengals fans, you think this is a foregone conclusion that we were their prime matchup. Don't be surprised if y'all go out again first game. That's all I got to say.
All right, Jerry, talk to you later.
Later.
Man, Jerry's confident.
Oh, he ready.
But see, this is the thing fans do. They talk confident, and then they do the whole, I'm not guaranteeing we're going to win. What you just spouted a lot of look. Those are some Kinner takes right there on the Bengals. I've learned my lesson, so I'm being a little bit timid here in my approach to this game because I think that the Raiders are a formidable foe. But I also, from the very beginning, said I don't believe that Carr can win in a shootout. Now I know that they beat Justin Herbert, who threw for 350 plus yards last night. But I also think that the Bengals defense, they have pass rushers and they have a good secondary. Their linebackers, core is going to be kind of back to, full strength again. So I like the Bengals in this matchup. I think they do put an end to the playoff drought. But a lot can happen between now and then. Hopefully COVID, keeps its business out of this matchup.
Absolutely. Hopefully it stays out of all the playoff games, man. Nobody wants to have the backups to the backups out there playing in the most meaningful time of the season.
518-1410. Kev, who's up next?
We got Chuck on 3.
Chuck, how are you, sir? Welcome in.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Justin, Kevin, I will be short and sweet. I'm not feeling the greatest today, but I feel the need to weigh in on this. I'm a big Steelers fan. I've called in the show before. I know that's not what you're talking about right now.
Oh, we will, but don't worry. We will.
I have a feeling you will because, that's a pretty cool story for them to sneak in. Big Ben get an opportunity to do what he's going to get smoked by the Chiefs. I'm not one of those crazy fans that thinks that we're going to win every time we're playing. But I do think on the you said, you don't want to hear people call in and say Joe Burrow's got ice in his veins, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. I think Joe Burrow does have a bit of ice. I think he's kind of our new generations, and I'm jealous. I wish he was a Steeler. But I do think he's the kind of the Joe Montana. We'll see. He hasn't proven that, but in college he certainly did. Just, throw him in there against all odds. He's going to find a way. And, the thing that's going to hurt the Bengals this week, I know this sounds crazy, but I actually think the snow could hurt them because I think it will take away the Chase 60-yard pass. And I think it's going to come down to Mixon versus what's the Raiders running back? I just watched it last night.
Jacobs?
Yeah, Jacobs. I think it's going to come down to those two and their offensive lines. I think the Bengals come out with the win. I'm with you, Justin. I don't necessarily – the only reason I don't want that – I live in Ohio. You live in Ohio. We should want them to win to a certain degree. The only reason we don't, Justin, is because their fans are obnoxious. Their fans are obnoxious. They how Barry Sanders would score a touchdown and every time he would hand the ball to the ref.
Uh-huh.
The Bengals get a first down and celebrate like they just won the Super Bowl. And their fans go right along with it. It's like, you guys suck. Go win something first. It's just incredible. I can't even go to any local establishment and feel comfortable if I see more than 10 Bengals fans because I just know I'm just going to feel really like the air just got sucked out of the room.
Now let me ask you this, Chuck. The Browns fans, I get it. We're pretty obnoxious too, but Bengals fans, Browns fans, which fan base is more obnoxious?
Oh, by far. I'm sorry to say this is not. This
you don't have to apologize for nothing.
Yeah, it's the Bengals fans are the worst. The Browns fans, I've said this for many, many years. The Browns have the unfortunate distinction of being great before they called them Super Bowls. If they would have called them Super Bowls, they would have the same amount of championships as the Steelers. So they have every reason. I know some of these guys haven't experienced that, but you know what? I was only 6 years old when the Steelers won Super Bowls. I didn't experience it, but I know that heritage is there. The Bengals cannot the only thing the Bengals could really be so happy about was that Brown, the father of Mike Brown. Again, I'm a little sick. I can't think of his name.
Paul.
You guys know who it is.
Paul Brown.
Paul Brown. Yeah, Paul, thank you. That's like the only saving grace for the Bengals is that this dude actually came here and said, I'm starting my own business and did it. Other than that, let's win at least a playoff game or something before you start acting like you're the best.
No,
and
Chuck.
Throwing shit. Sorry.
Chuck. God dang it. You were doing, Steelers fans. Now, you do exist. Where have you been this whole time? Chuck, I love you, by the way. I love anytime someone else could do the bashing of the Bengals fans, and I don't have to because I'm trying to be on my best behavior. New year, new me. I'm all for it. He had to do it. He had to cuss, but he got into it. And that's what I love. Get into it. But typical, Kev, your Steelers fans, non-existent all year round. All year. Haven't heard a peep.
I've been on this show every day except for the Wednesdays, but I've been here every day.
Uh-huh. Well, it's like every day is Wednesday for you Steelers fans until yesterday, all of a sudden Steelers fans calling in. But my goodness, Chuck, he stirred the pot. He got everyone all fired up. Mark Smith said, hang up on this clown. We did. I don't think he's a clown. He just said a clownish word that we had to bid farewell a little bit early. TJ Brusher says he's just jealous. Doug Toby says he's never been to a Cincinnati game and sat around a bunch of Steelers fans. Let's be honest. I'm going to be honest. This isn't a hate on the on the Bengals fans at this moment, but your fans, it is. I've heard nothing good about going to games in Cincinnati. Now, Bengals fans will say it's great. Yes, for Bengals fans. Now, to be fair, you can't go into a lot of, home games wearing a jersey of an opposing team and expect to be treated well. But I have heard nothing but bad things about you Bengals fans at Paul Brown Stadium. I'm just going to be honest with you. I have really, really good friends that all dread going to Bengals games because they're fans of other teams. And my friends are actually not very, I'm the most confrontational of all my friends. So it's not like they go to these games and stir things up. They go to the games just wanting to cheer on their other team, and they can't even do it without some moron Bengals fan having to, throw beer on them or start chirping. So look, don't get too defensive. Your fan base is pretty obnoxious. Let's just be clear. But so are the Browns. Steelers fans disappear until all of a sudden they're magically playoff team. All of a sudden,
I've been here all season.
You get paid to be here. I'm just saying.
I've been here all season.
You get paid a lot of money to be here. Let's just be clear.
A lot of commas.
TJ says Browns fans bark constantly during the game. The most annoying chant in the game. At least it's our chant. You don't even have your own chant. You stole the Saints chant.
Oh goodness,
what are you trying to? Don't be making fun of other people's chants when you're not even smart enough to come up with your own. I know. We'll just change a letter and that'll. My goodness. When you cheat off someone's test, you should at least change up a word or two. You just changed a letter. I'm just saying. Nope. Do better, Kenner. Don't let them get to you. Too late. Mark Smith says, at least we don't carry around a bunch of ugly yellow towels. This guy is a clown. Lots of names. Poor Chuck. Not even here to defend himself.
Don't cuss on the air, then that won't happen.
Will, I did forget. Will Lemmer, if I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, but in Will's defense, he's been here since day one. He's been here. So he's a Steelers fan.
What's up, Will?
Yeah. So, how
you feeling, baby?
Let's see. TJ says the Brownies emptied their septic tank after a loss a few years ago at Longsworth Hall. Shake my head. So there you go. As Mark Smith said, blood pressure pills for Kev.
Oh, no, we good on this side.
Now, Kev's annoying. He stays calm at all times.
We good on this side, baby, because we're going to talk about it.
I don't know why. What annoys me is there are times where I'm the one trying to agitate Kev, and then in the process, I get the pissed because Kev doesn't show reaction, and then his calmness, he has this confidence in everything he says that ticks me off because I don't know how to say anything passionately without getting angry, and it's jealousy, Kev. I wish I could have an opinion on something and just be cool with it. And you'll just okay. That's when you piss me off. When you do that thing, when you do the okay, how do I come back to that? Like, no, like I when Schlemmer and I would do this, Schlemmer knew how to push my buttons too. He said, you're not really trying to push my buttons. You're just being you, which is a good thing. But like Schlemmer knew how to play me. He knew how to get me riled up without, Then he'd sit there and smile. The angry he'd smile, which would then tick me off even more. Anyways.
Slim, what up, baby?
And for those of you who missed it, how about Ken Anderson? This is Ken Anderson. We opened up the show today with former Bengals MVP quarterback. I know some of you have heard this, but if not, here's how the interview started with Ken Anderson. Ken, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Were the Browns playing this next week?
Man, really? That's how we're going to. That's fair. You know, that's like in all of you. But he's allowed. I ain't going to go at Ken Anderson. Let's just be clear. I even gave Ken Anderson a who day. Talk about ass kissing. Oof. All right, 518-1410. Lines are full. Actually, no, some calls are coming in now. We're about to fill up the lines, which is fun. So we'll be back in a moment. 518-1410. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for coming.
Are you kidding? I never miss one of your dinner parties. How's the new job?
We're growing fast, and I stopped working weekends thanks to how much smoother everything runs on NetSuite by Oracle.
Fantastic. We're still using QuickBooks.
Why haven't you upgraded to NetSuite?
We're making QuickBooks work, sort of.
Shh, watch your language. The kids are right there. Sorry, Amy. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, budgeting, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. And 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control since upgrading from QuickBooks to NetSuite.
Yeah, sounds like it's time for me to switch to NetSuite. Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite. For the new year, NetSuite has a new financing program for those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/radar. Head to netsuite.com/radar for this special one-of-a-kind financing offer on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. netsuite.com/radar.
34 teams, 19 games, all in 4 days, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. It's the 2022 Premier Health Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, January 14th through the 17th. Don't miss out on a chance to see some of the best local and national teams and players. Huntington Prep, Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary's, Wayne, Dunbar, Centerville, and more. It's the 2022 Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. Get your tickets at flyingtothehoop.com/tickets.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-885-9500. That's 1-800-885-9500. 1-800-885-9500. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Hey, Carrie, we need that tax report by tomorrow. Hey, Bobby, get me that expenses.
For Hari's accounting firm, client growth is exponential.
We're a couple of accountants short.
He needs whip-smart accountants at whiplash speed.
Hey, so why aren't these receivables matching up?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. You know, between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now in the future?
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available here. Not talking steroids or surgery. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Hi, this is Keith Byers. QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. If you got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, no surgery. Don't go through another year with that awful joint pain, and don't let them put you under the knife. You need to learn more about how biologic therapies are changing the way we think about dealing with joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 937-936-0325. That number again is 937-936-0325.
At the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission, we help veterans and their dependents navigate the process of applying for benefits administered by the VA. We can assist with VA claims, pensions, and a variety of benefits, including emergency financial assistance, transportation, and legal services. If you are a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, a wide range of services may be available to you, always at no cost to the veteran. We are honored and proud to serve all Miami Valley veterans. Contact us today at 937-225-4801.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Want the same internet but more privacy? DuckDuckGo's got you covered. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
This tax filing season could be one for the record books. There are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table, and Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you get every one you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, taking classes, and so much more. Don't leave thousands on the table. Jackson Hewitt will make sure you get credit for all you do and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more and find your nearest location at jacksonhewitt.com.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
The Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Premier Health Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Showcase returns to Trent Arena this weekend. Kev, you going?
Absolutely.
I'm excited to go. I'm excited that it's back. That was, we lost a lot during COVID, experiences and just the norm. And it's back, and it's at Trent Arena. We got tickets. We're giving away tickets. I'm going to tell everybody how they can win some tickets coming up here in a half hour. So keep that in mind. Gosh dang it. Did I get something wrong again?
What?
Everyone's shaking. Brian Fraley, shout out to Brian. I don't hide from being wrong. I'm wrong. If I hid from being wrong, I wouldn't have a show and I would have nothing to talk about. I'm wrong all the damn time. According to the internet, Who Day started in 1981, whereas Who Dat was associated with the Saints in 1983. Who stole what from who? Kinner. Damn it! I need a fact check, Mr. Fraley, because we can all just make up dates. But Fraley seems pretty confident. Let's look this up live.
Checked out the Googles. Who Dat versus Who Day.
So we're looking this up now. We got to figure this out. That's
per the wiki.
What?
Per the wiki, the Saints chat Who Dat started in the late 1960s and early 1970s. However, hold on. This article is ridiculous. It's taking forever to load. Something wrong with my internet.
Shocker.
Good save.
You know, it is what it is. So we got the Bengals playing. You know, I don't know at this point, but it sounds like the Bengals did not steal this then, if that is the truth. Look, I've admitted a lot about the Bengals, being wrong a lot about the Bengals. Did they steal this chant? It sounds like the Saints stole the chant. Huh. Who would have thunk it? So I don't know.
The article I'm reading does not have a date for the Who Day.
See, Brian, you're making it up. You're a liar. I'm joking. I think Brian's right, actually. Brian wouldn't come at me unless he was confident in his answer. And he said, according to the internet, he has sources. His sources are more reliable than half the media's, like Mary Kay Cabot's. I'm just saying. So we're talking, by the way, people are chiming in, too, about their experiences at Paul Brown Stadium. I said, I have a lot of friends, and to be fair to Paul Brown Stadium here, I think if you wear an opposing jersey to any stadium in the NFL, you're going to catch hecklers of all fan bases. Mm-hmm. So am I going to sit here and say that Cincinnati's one of the worst? But I've never heard anything good about any opposing team fans going to Paul Brown and having an enjoying opportunity to watch their team. I do know this, though. I wish whatever cojones it is that Bengals fans have that make people uncomfortable going to Paul Brown, I wish Reds fans had those same cojones to make Cubs fans feeling uncomfortable about going to Great American Ballpark. Because what I get tired of is that there's more fans for opposing teams, especially the Cubs at Great American Ballpark, because they feel comfortable infiltrating your stadium. So clearly, I've heard way too many people that refuse to go to Paul Brown Stadium that are fans of other teams because Bengals fans are too much for them to handle. Now, part of me, because of my hatred for the Bengals, I want to be like, shame on you. But good for you. It's your stadium. Own it. Don't let Kevin show up in the black and yellow. Don't let him show up and be comfortable. So, I went from being upset with you Bengals fans for making it a miserable experience for people. Good for you. You don't do a lot right, but you did this right. You actually, now that I think about it, I'm a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan. I'm going to admit something. When I went to that Bengals game earlier in the year, I didn't wear my Browns off. I talked a big game. I lied to Kevin and told him I didn't. But I watched it. I watch how you people operate. But the thing is, if I felt that you were a weak fan base, I would have worn my Brown stuff. So I'm admitting here again, this is just new year, new me. This is just great stuff. I feel like it's a whole
letting you behind
Kinner.
The curtain.
It's a whole new Kinner. But in all seriousness, you fans are doing what you're supposed to. Do not. I wish Reds fans. I don't say this often. I think the Reds fan base is better than the Bengals fan base, but it's not. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. I just think that there's more history with the Reds. So that's not a shot at the Bengals. But I will say the one thing that Bengals fans do better than Reds fans is they own Paul Brown. They own that stadium. Like, they're not going to let Kev, when the Steelers are in town, show up in Steelers gear and sit there with his wife and comfortably watch a game and make, man, this place is beautiful. I'm going to come back to more games. No, you're either with us or you're against us. And Kev's against him because he's a Steelers fan. All right. Which is gross.
Y'all notice he trying to just bring this energy towards me. I wonder why.
I'm a Brown. I'm pissed that you made the playoffs. I had accepted that the Bengals made it. It was bad enough they won the division. But it was bad enough they made it, but then they won the division. But I'm like, well, I at least, what I had going for me? Oh, I'm the Bengals. I won the bad division. All three teams should have made the playoffs, and then the Steelers had to ruin it. Oh, I even said it. I said, until the Bengals beat the Chiefs, I was like, they hadn't beat a playoff team all year. I didn't think the Raiders were going to make it, and I damn sure knew the Browns and Ravens weren't going to end up making it. And I knew that the Steelers weren't going to make it. Well, then the dang Raiders made it, and then the dang Steelers made it. So that was 2 wins. So the Bengals, I think, are like 4-2 against the playoff field this year. Mm-hmm. 2 wins against the Steelers, the Raiders, and the Chiefs. And then they lost to the Packers and the Niners. So those are the 2 playoff losses they have. But I had it all panned out. Oh, yeah. Oh, you made the playoffs, Bengals. Good for you. You won the AFC North. What a great division you won. And then the Steelers made the dang playoffs. By the way, you don't accidentally win 9 or 10 games in the NFL. I know people will say that. It's hard to do. But anyways, I'm all over. But I'll give fine. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Bengals didn't steal the Who Dey chant. I hate this. Maybe I should just become a Bengals fan. I'm joking, but maybe I should.
I'm still hunting for the Who Dey stuff, but according to the wiki, Who Dat originated from Dayton's own Paul Laurence Dunbar, the poet, from a poem that he wrote back in the day, and they started using that in New Orleans as early as the 1960s, and then they started using it at high school football games in the 70s, and once it blew up in New Orleans at high school football games, that's when they started using it at the Saints games. So I'm trying to find some more info about the Who Dey chant.
All right,
for the beloved Bengals.
Shaw says that the Bengals stole it. He said that the Bengals stole it. But I don't know, because there's another article that showed that the first time the Bengals used it was 81, and the Saints didn't use Who Dat until 83. Well, if my right state math serves me correctly, I think the Saints stole it. But I guess the Who Dat was a New Orleans-based chant that's not Saints-related, but it was – so the Who Dat chant existed before Who Dey, but Who Dat was not incorporated into the Saints chant until 83. But Who Dat has existed well before it became a football chant.
Right.
So – the Bengals didn't sleep with their wife when they were married. It was before they were married. Is that how this is working? Like they didn't, you know what I mean? Like they hooked up before they got married. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But 518-1410. Kev, who we got on line 2?
We got James on line 2.
James, kick us off, man. How are you? Yeah, I didn't think James was going to wait that long. I was babbling a little. Who we got next?
We got Aaron on 4.
Aaron on 4. Aaron, how are you, sir? Damn it, Aaron. All right. 518-1410. We'll get back to the calls coming up here in a moment. I want to get back to the Facebook stuff. See, Mark Smith said, how was it for Kevin being a Steelers fan in Cleveland? Is it easier to be a Steelers fan in Cleveland or closer to Bengals country?
It is torture being a Steelers fan in Cleveland, especially considering...
I'd walk around with confidence. I'd be laughing at groups of people all the time.
Especially considering my entire family are Browns fans. And now that I am married to a Browns fan, and her entire family are Browns fans. So last year, as you can imagine, I mean, you've been talking about it for the last 365 days. The Browns beat the Steelers in back-to-back weeks, beat the Steelers to make the playoffs, and then beat the Steelers in a playoff game. And I had to hear it from everybody underneath the sun. But my phone got awfully quiet this season. It got very quiet. Not a text message, not a peep from basically anybody. The only
to
person.
Be fair, we thought you were hanging out with us. I thought we were in this together. I didn't know. You know what this reminds me of? When I was in college, I thought, partied a lot. All my friends, I didn't know my friends were going to class.
Losers.
4 years into class, everyone's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, we got graduation. I'm like, graduation? I thought we were just having fun. I didn't know we were actually going to. They left me behind. That's what I feel like Kev just did. I thought we were just having fun, just hanging out. We're down in third last place. And the next thing I know, my friend graduated. He moved on and advanced, and I'm over here by myself trying to figure it out. That's exactly what happened with the Steelers and the Browns. I thought we were in this together, and no. You had to, you snuck your way in. Oh, it is what it is.
It's a beautiful thing. It's beautiful. And I'm not a fool. I know we're going to get thrashed next Sunday. I know this.
Didn't you guys play the Chiefs already this year?
Yeah, we got bashed by the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. I'm going to get bashed by the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. It's all good. It is what it is.
I mean, you guys have a chance. The Bengals beat them. What? All right, 518-1410. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
Lean and hungry and offensive route. Run, pass, or boot. And defensively, he's rough, tough. Cincinnati Bengals.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Sick of waiting for your furniture to arrive? Menards has the furniture you need in stock. Plus, you get a free rug. That's right. Buy any upholstered living room furniture at $299 or more and get a free 5x7 area rug. That's $149.99 in savings. Need a new chair? How about a sectional, a new recliner, or love seat? Buy one today, get a free rug. Hurry up, get to Menards before they're gone. In-store only while supplies last.
Save big money at Menards.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Jermaine Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Jermaine Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
When you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get great savings and round-the-clock protection, which is as beautiful as looking your firstborn child in the eyes for the first time. Well, that's a bit much. Maybe it's more like looking your second-born child in the eyes for like the third or fourth time. Point being, the savings and round-the-clock protection are really, really magical.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Hey, Carrie, we need that tax report by tomorrow. Hey, Bobby, give me that expenses.
For Hari's accounting firm, client growth is exponential.
We're a couple of accountants short.
He needs whip-smart accountants at whiplash speed.
Hey, so why aren't these receivables matching up?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
I've always said I'm going to run my mouth until I get beat up one day, and until I get beat up, it's just fair game. This past Sunday at Frickers, at the show, had to use the restroom. So I went to the restroom, had my mask on, washed my hands. Some nasty dude didn't wash his hands, and he walked out, and his pee-pee fingers just grossed me out. And he had the nerve to question me for wearing a mask.
Oh my goodness.
He had a nerve to question me for wearing a mask. And we're not getting into a COVID debate here. I'm exhausted of that. But I told the guy, I said, listen, with all due respect, I don't even know why I said with all due respect, but I said that with all due respect, I don't take health advice from guys who don't wash their hands after going to the bathroom. So if you excuse me, I'm going to take my mask self on back over here. Who the hell, how are you going to walk around with pee-pee fingers and tell people they shouldn't be wearing a mask? What is wrong with you?
That was nasty before COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So
he said, he probably thought, well, I don't have to wash my hands. I had COVID last month. I don't need to wash my hands. I don't know if that's what he's thinking. I have no idea.
I mean, you're at a chicken spot.
You're nasty.
You're eating French fries with your hands, chicken chunks with your hands.
And that was no reflection of the place whatsoever. I just want to be clear. There's nasty people everywhere, unfortunately.
Right.
That grows me out, man. And by the way, when you wash your hands, here's the deal, because I hate guys that do this. I would rather you walk out without even attempting to wash your hands if you're going to do this. Don't do the theater thing of, I'm just going to put my hand under the water, rinse it for 2 seconds, and then grab a paper towel. Guys do that constantly. It pisses me off. Like, soap. Wash your hands. There's soap right there. I hate it. People gross me out before COVID. They gross me out even more after. This thing is honestly just trying me to just dislike people more than I already do. But like, my goodness, like if you're going to attempt to try to fool people into you washing your hands,
just do it.
Just your hands are already wet. Just spend the 10 more. I mean, my goodness. I'm sure you do some of your best work in under 2 minutes in real life, and you're sitting there not in a hurry to wash your damn pee-pee hands. It's gross. Look, I'm done with my rant. It's not stick to sport. I'm sticking to sports. This isn't even COVID related. This is wash your damn hands related. This is gross. But yeah, people, like I said, I get more irritated with people that put their hands under the water for 2 seconds, then dry it, then walk back out. Ugh. Anyways, what's the purpose of the show?
Stick to sports, dude.
Oh, yeah. 518-1410. Let's go. And by the way, so Bengals, Raiders this Saturday. This matchup is actually it's an ideal matchup. I like I said last Friday, you look at the AFC. There's not one team that I believe is head and shoulders better than the Bengals. The Bengals match up with every team in the AFC. I mean, you would like to stay away from the Patriots. You'd like to stay away from the Chiefs. But overall, there is not one team. Like if they were in the NFC, even though they've already proven they can kind of go toe-to-toe with the Packers, I'd be like, oh, damn, they got the Packers. Or, oh, damn, they got Tom Brady and the Bucs. You know, even the Cowboys, but the Cowboys is better than the Patriots or Bucs matchup-wise if they were in the NFC, but they're in the AFC. Outside of the Chiefs, maybe the Patriots, there's not one matchup in the AFC, if I'm a Bengals fan, that I'm like, oh, damn, we got that team. They're good teams. They're all good teams.
Right.
But I believe that the Bengals, and I'm getting tired of people saying that the Bengals, and this is coming from me, oh, they don't have a talented roster. How do they not have a talented roster? I'm hearing that a ton. I'm hearing that a lot, that even from Bengals fans, and I know some Bengals fans, I got criticism over the weekend. It was constructive criticism, and I'll share. Actually, I didn't mind it. It made sense. I have a habit of saying Bengals fans say this, and I lump them all into one.
Right.
Dayton Flyers fans say this. So this guy, if he's listening, I want to give him, actually, I don't remember his name now. I will give him a shout out once I go pull the messages up. But he asked me to stop lumping everyone into one because he said there's horrible people in all fan bases, including mine. I said, thanks for that. I'm probably part of the bad people you're talking about, but it's okay. But so it's a good point. So I'm going to take his advice. Some Bengals fans I'm coming across on social media are saying, well, you know, remember, this isn't the most talented roster. Stop it. You have 3 1,000-yard wide receivers, top 5 running back, an MVP caliber quarterback, a $200 million defense, and you're going to try and waste my time and everyone else's time trying to spew this. Oh, well, remember, our roster's not as talented as other. I'll take your roster over the Raiders. I'll take your roster over the Chargers. I'll take your roster pretty much. I mean, the Broncos, you go down the AFC list. I'll take your outside of the Chiefs and maybe the Patriots, even though I'll definitely take the quarterback over the Patriots quarterback. What roster would you take over the Bengals roster in the AFC right now, Kev? And I know it's painful. You've been a Steelers fan, but in all seriousness, I'm just curious. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit. I don't know. But those on both sides of the ball. I mean, my goodness. Between Bates and Hendrickson.
I think they're right there with everybody. You know, I think there's just levels to the personnel. You know, as good as Joe Burrow is, I don't think anybody thinks he's the same caliber quarterback as a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. But that doesn't mean he's a bum. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's youth more than talent. I think he's talented, but I think the resume is just not built enough.
Yeah. And I mean, it's in his second year, and, you know, he'll grow and get better and better and better and everything like that. But I think, like, it's the depth thing. It's also the youth thing, because the simple fact that a lot of these teams have been there before, even though they haven't had success, like the Tennessee Titans. They haven't had a lot of success outside of that first year of Tannehill being with the Titans and making it to the AFC Championship game and everything like that. They've been in the playoffs before, so they know what this is about. They know the difference between regular season football and playoff football. Same thing goes for the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been to the Super Bowl, so they've been here before. So this will be about the youth factor. And during the regular season, that has paid the Cincinnati Bengals a lot of dividends of saying, hey, man, it's just a game. Let's go out there and play. But more and more you're in this league and more you play, the more and more you watch ESPN, the more and more you're on Twitter, like those type of things start to seep into your mind, and it starts to realize, like, oh, this is a big game. because, we had the guys talking about the Cincinnati Bengals on the show last week, talking about, well, they just go out there and play. They don't look at it as a big game. They're just going out there to have fun and play and win and everything like that. But everybody knows that this is the playoffs. Like, this is top billing. This is where your legend is made. Like, all the awesome things that all these guys have done during the regular season, your legacy is made in the playoffs. So everybody knows it. So it's the ability to focus and dial in on the playoffs. And that is a totally different animal, considering that basically all the big time guys on your team have never sniffed the playoffs before. So like that's a major key for me with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Then they need to change it from talented roster to experienced roster. It's not a very experienced roster.
Right.
Although you have some veterans, you don't have Hilton obviously brings a lot of experience over. Awuzie brings some, Hendrickson obviously. So yeah, I mean, I guess the majority of the experience is coming on that defensive side.
And it's up to them. It's up to them. They have to take ownership and guide those guys during practice and in the meeting rooms to explain to them and have them guys prepared, because, even Coach Taylor, he hasn't been in the playoffs. He was in the playoffs with the Rams and everything like that, but he wasn't the head guy. He wasn't even the play caller. You know what I'm saying? So this is a different experience for him as well. You know what I'm saying? So the defense, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of experience on the defensive side of the ball in playoff football, but I can't think of anybody that was in the playoffs on the offense.
No.
Has anybody? Was Tyler Boyd on that team?
That's what I'm having a hard time remembering. Help Bengals fans, Tyler Boyd. Let me see how far back.
If so, he was only a rookie, but I don't think he was on the team.
On that 15 team. I don't believe so.
So that means
he's been extended since then. I don't know. I got to look that up. I'm not
Joe Mixon wasn't on that team.
No, Joe Mixon was a part of the rebuild drafts. So there's that.
We know nobody on that offensive line was.
They still don't have an offensive line. 518-1410. I mean, the fact that they made the playoffs with that offensive line says more about Joe Burrow than anything. I mean, my goodness. 518-1410 is the number to call in. Let's go to where's Tim?
Tim is on 2.
Tim on 2. Tim, how are you, sir?
Hey, good. Hey, I just want to add something to that Houday thing, and I'm not sure, but what I always believed is that Houdat came first. Maybe I'm driving, so I can't see Facebook, but then Huda Pole Beer had something to do with that Houday, from Houdat, because Huda Pole Beer being the big local beer in Cincinnati. So I thought that had something to do with that switch, and that kind of makes sense. Hey, Justin, quick question for you. Now that your AFC team is out, are you going to be cheering for your Cowboys? You haven't talked about them much.
You mean I'm always a Cowboys fan. I don't know who this Browns team are talking about. I know you've always been. I don't know what you guys keep writing this Browns team.
But you haven't been talking about them much.
Look, I wasn't. This is what ended up happening with Dallas. Dak Prescott is being held to this standard. Like last year, Dak put up these serious numbers before he got injured. And I kept saying that I'm not going to fall in love with the big numbers from Dak Prescott because they were playing from behind in every game. Their defense was horrible, so they had no choice but to let him just air it out. The guy could throw. They could put up points. He's a good quarterback. I don't put him up there with the elite level. I still think that they paid a lot of money to get a above-average quarterback. Dak is well above average, but I'm not willing to put him in that elite status yet either. But that's the thing, is you're getting who Dak is. Dak has always been this guy, capable of putting up big numbers, but he's also going to have games that you're scratching your head. I know he's banged up and stuff like that, but he's been doing this even when he's healthy. I just don't trust the Cowboys. I know the defense is improved, but at the same time, it's just that offense, when you don't know what you're going to get on a week in, week out basis, I'm not going to put them over the Buccaneers. I'm not going to put them over Green Bay. I just think their work's cut out for them. You just never know what you're going to get with them, and I think that that's what makes them very hard to feel confident about heading into the postseason. And I'm definitely not a fan of their coach, and I'm sure you're aware of their coach's antics as well. As a Packer fan.
Management's always been Mike McCarthy's problem. I mean, he'll cost you games.
Well, when they win, when the Cowboys win, they win big. So a lot of McCarthy's coaching struggles are hid in those. When they put up 50 on the Eagles, when they punch teams in the mouth, that hides McCarthy's coaching deficiencies. But in the postseason, I mean, you're not going to blow out the Packers. You're not going to blow out the Buccaneers. You're going to be in close games with the Bucs. You're going to be in close games with the Packers if you're playing well. And then that's where McCarthy's going to come into play. And I think that's where the Cowboys will get exposed when it's all said and done. Again, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
the Niners.
Yes, I do.
And the Niners, too.
And you know what?
G.
Yeah, and you made a really good point about talent and experience. I wouldn't swap the Bengals roster with anybody except maybe the Chiefs, because the Chiefs have an advantage, the offensive line, and plus their talent's more experience. But yeah, I think that's a really good point. All right, guys, good show. I'm going to keep listening.
Hey, Tim, be safe driving. Thanks for calling in. Take care.
You bet.
518-1410. But yeah, Bengals fans, I know I'm giving you a lot of love. I have for the last 10 days, I guess. But in all seriousness, there is a good pocket of Bengals fans who keep trying to convince me that this roster is still not very good. This roster is very, very good. They're a good team. Stop. I know what you're doing. What you're doing is you are trying to compartmentalize. You are trying to soften. You're making your bed, and you're putting a lot of cushions down. You're putting a lot of pillows down so that if they fall on their face on Saturday, you could say, well, we were years ahead of schedule. Our roster this, our roster. No. It doesn't work that way. Your roster is really good. And in all seriousness, outside of the Chiefs, I don't think there's a roster in the AFC in the playoff picture right now. Although I'm still taking the Browns roster over the Bengals, although the Bengals have the advantage of quarterback. But I'll take the Browns roster when completely healthy, especially if they add wide receivers. Browns aren't going to have – I don't care what changes you make. You could add Calvin Ridley. You could add Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, whoever the hell you want. You could add all these. You could bring Jarvis back, add – I saw Calvin Ridley that's being rumored over the weekend as a target for the Browns. The Browns can have Calvin Ridley. The Browns can have Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. They could bring back Jarvis Landry. They could still have Higgins. It doesn't matter. They're not going to have a better receiving core than the Cincinnati Bengals. But as a whole, I'm still like the Browns roster. But of the playoff rosters right now, I will take the Bengals roster over every team in the AFC playoffs right now, except for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I really like the Patriots defense, but I will take the explosive Bengals offense over the explosive Patriots defense as far as I'm concerned. What about you, Kev?
I'm with you. That offense is so explosive, especially the way we've seen them the last couple of weeks from the Cincinnati Bengals. It's hard to say that you would take another roster over it. Another team out there that has a very good roster, but it's on the other side of the ball, is the San Francisco 49ers. Like from top to
AFC.
Oh, okay.
On the end in the AFC. But no, in the NFC, I'm still picking the Bucks. I'm still picking the Packers. I would take
the Cincinnati Bengals roster over the Packers.
Really?
Yeah. But I would take the 49ers roster over the Bengals.
I should have asked Tim that. Tim's a Packer fan.
And I would imagine I would take the Rams roster over the Bengals. But, I think the quarterback.
They have OBJ. I would definitely take them over the Bengals. I mean, OBJ is so good.
But Joe Burrow is way better than good old Matt Stafford.
You get all excited when he struggles.
Good old Matt
Pam.
Stafford.
Where's Pam at?
Good old Matthew Stafford.
518-1410. Who we have, Kev?
Charlie. We have the Charlie online too.
The Charlie, really? Charlie, how are you, my friend? Who day?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing real well. Now that I've accepted who the Bengals are, and I've accepted that I was wrong, I'm a happier person. I'm a happier person.
You've been wrong about a lot of stuff.
Charlie, don't piss me off, my friend. I'm trying here. You got to meet me halfway. By the way, Charlie, did you catch the Ken Anderson interview?
Not yet. I'm on a weird work schedule. I'm going to try to catch that on like a replay.
Okay, but here's you're going to love this. This is how the Ken Anderson interview started.
I heard him. I heard the opening. He channeled me. It sounded like
he channeled. Yes, Ken Anderson was like, I need to be like Charlie. What would Charlie do on this interview with Kenner and Kev?
Yeah. I definitely heard him. Give you some grief out of the gate, man. It was really nice. It's nice. See, that's a winner right there. Like a guy who's like 70 years old, but just still giving you the business.
Well, to be fair, that's really the last time the Bengals were good. So I mean, I get it, but
Well, that's not true either. So you just keep it coming. And Justin, you know what? After watching the Chargers and the Raiders, what I realized last night.
What'd you realize?
Is you're not very good at deciding what makes a good team and what doesn't, because I noticed there are two groups of teams, right? You got the Bengals and Steelers who decided that good defense and skill players are what matter more than putting together offensive lines. You see what I'm saying? Because we took Jamar Chase and they took Najee Harris. Both of our teams have good defenses,
That's a simplistic. Well, hold up. The Steelers had to go running back because they desperately needed to get a run game if they wanted to give their team any kind of chance to try to balance that out. So taking an offensive lineman, the Steelers knew they had 1 year to win. Your team is supposed to be building for the long term, which they have their core locked up long term. But again, at any given second, your quarterback's leg could be dangling because they're not protecting. I don't want to get into the bash of the Bengals, but you're ticking me off, Charlie, because I know what you're doing. You're not going to allow it. What?
There's another group.
See, this is what you're doing. Oh, yeah, the Bengals and the Steelers know what they're doing. Don't try to this whole – you make the playoffs for the first time in 7 years, and you're over here trying to say Bengals and Steelers, we know what we're doing.
We won the AFC North for the 5th time in 15 years.
Thanks, Ravens and Browns.
We know a little bit about what we're doing. The Bengals have always tried to emulate the Steelers. We just have had bad luck. We've had a lot of injuries, a lot of Odell Thurmans come through.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
No, I was thinking about all the teams that have focused on getting their offensive line together, like the Chargers and the Browns, some of these other teams that just didn't make the playoffs. And I was like, man, I don't think Justin Kinner knows what it takes to build a winning program. Because the Bengals are way, way out in front of the Browns right now. What are the Browns going to do?
A healthy Bengals team won 2 more games than the decimated Browns team. Are you kidding me? You have lost your mind, Charlie. I'm giving you who days. I'm bringing on former Bengals. I'm going to have Bengals on all week. I'm doing this for you, my friend. And you are chirping, chirp. You're like oh my goodness.
When did the Chiefs decide to pay their linemen?
What do you mean? They paid their linemen. They were willing to pay their linemen because your team was too cheap to pay the linemen.
They had already been to 2 Super Bowls.
Because they had linemen. And then when the linemen got injured and one had COVID last year, they got younger on their offensive line. That's when they went out and got Orlando Brown, who's more experienced, and then they got Joe Tooney. They didn't do anything wrong. They did what they're supposed to because they care about people.
All I can tell you, there are 2 teams who didn't spend much time or effort on their offensive line. They're in the playoffs. Okay?
So you're lucky.
It is what it is.
You're lucky that you made the playoffs with that offensive line because that's not the blueprint to get to the playoffs is, hey, let's just have a bad offensive line. That's actually pretty stupid, actually. That's actually pretty dumb. The Bengals clicked on a lot. Jamar Chase was a home run. I admit that I was wrong on that. They could have got Jamar Chase and still done a better job addressing the O-line, but I have nothing to – I'm not defending myself at all on that. All right? I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying that's pretty dumb of you to say that the Bengals were smart for not focusing on the offensive line. Charlie, you there? See, Charlie's phone could not handle all the wrongness that was coming through. There you go, Kev. That's for you. And you had the towel out too? The terrible towel?
We here. Can I get some runway? You're going to get the runway for
coming back.
Okay.
Because Kev's jacked up about his Steelers. I want to give him time to talk about his Steelers. If you're just tuning in and you caught that, now you're probably like, oh, look, Kinner's back to his old self. Kinner's not back to his old self. Look, this week, I reached out to Ken Anderson today. I said, hey, listen, I'm the Bengal hater, but I said, I want Bengals fans to enjoy the run to the playoffs, especially in Dayton. So Ken Anderson came on. He took shots at me. He took shots at the Browns. Who Day Nation. Everyone's all excited. I have no intention. I'm not talking bad about your Bengals. I just said that outside of the Chiefs, I would take that roster over any other AFC playoff roster right now. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not hating on the Bengals. Charlie, he just, I can't call him a name, but Charlie is and I'll let you guys fill in the blank. Good dude, smart.
Great listener. Great
listener. I don't know about, but there's a lot of other adjectives I would use to describe Charlie. All right, folks, I see Bob, too. Bob is on hold. I see Bob Love. That's a cool-ass name, man. Bob Love. Your last name's Love. You got the damn Steeler towel on. What's wrong with you?
Feeling good.
Feeling
real good.
About your Steelers, too. Charlie is right. TJ Brescher says Charlie is right. Hey, now. Oh, look, at TJ Brescher, his Facebook profile picture, AFC North Champions. All right. That's fair. David Shaw put the blood pressure pills. What are we talking here? Lamar Shelley says, if you can apply that analysis to Baker, you, my friend, will see the light. Baker's the same guy, healthy or not. Lamar, if you can use the same analysis that what are you talking about? I've never said Baker's elite. And Kev could vouch for me here. I also said that Dak Prescott's not elite, which is why I was against the Cowboys paying him that money. But at the same time, I also know if you're going to move on from Dak, who you're going to get. Last year, they got Andy Dalton. That's why you pay Dak. You pay Dak because if not, you end up with Andy Dalton, which Andy Dalton in his prime wasn't terrible, but you don't pay Andy Dalton that money either. But no, we'll talk about Baker. The Browns did commit to Baker for another year. We'll talk about that. But Kev's itching to talk about his Steelers, and we're going to give him the runway to do so. We're going to take your calls, 518-1410 on the other side. Coach of the Year, Mike Tomlin. No doubt. No doubt. When people last week were chirping that Zach Taylor deserves Coach of the Year, I said, no, he does not. He has arguably the second best roster in the AFC playoff field and yet has 2 more wins than the Cleveland Browns. No, Zach Taylor does not deserve Coach of the Year. The Bengals, I'm supporting the Bengals, but I'm not supporting Zach Taylor as Coach of the Year. Mike Tomlin, there's a reason everyone has just scratched their head all day like the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the playoffs. Yes. No one's scratching their head as to why the Bengals are in the playoffs. You have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, $200 million defense. No one's scratching that. You're not a surprise to be in the playoff. You're a surprise to be in the playoff compared to your expectations coming into the year. But look at what they did throughout the season. That's not a surprise. You should. When you have that elite weapons, I still look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I can't picture. I just can't comprehend how the hell they're in the playoffs. If you have to sit here and scratch your head to wonder how a team's in the postseason, that to me screams Coach of the Year more so than a team that has 3,000-yard wide receivers, a top 5 running back, an MVP candidate, a quarterback, and a $200 million defense. I'll give you enough days for the day, but my goodness. Damn Mike Tomlin. That's why I said I'm ticked off. I'm more mad at the Steelers than the Bengals. The Browns couldn't make the damn playoffs over the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's what happens. You lose twice to them. We'll be back. 518-1410.
The Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 28. Tonight's going to be clear and very cold, a low near 10. And tomorrow's going to be clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 30. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
Do you have taxiety, that uncertain feeling before doing your taxes? Filing on your own or choosing the wrong partner can be stressful. Connect with Liberty Tax and then just breathe in and cash out.
Pay no out-of-pocket expenses.
Sounds like a mantra.
Visit StopTaxiety.com to schedule your appointment and say farewell to the stress of tax season. Liberty Tax. Let's end taxiety. At participating locations, terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
I need to be able to work from anywhere, so I need to have supplies, well, everywhere.
It's possible at Staples.
I need the same setup for my home as I have at the office, without twice the cost.
Also possible, because your local Staples store has the tools your business needs to get work done. Now get 40% back in a Staples store bonus when you buy any 2 ink or toner cartridges. Explore what's new at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 1/15, limit 2 in-store only. See staplesconnect.com/store bonus for details.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
34 teams, 19 games, all in 4 days, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. It's the 2022 Premier Health Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, January 14th through the 17th. Don't miss out on a chance to see some of the best local and national teams and players. Huntington Prep, Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary's, Wayne, Dunbar, Centerville, and more. It's the 2022 Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, live from Trent Arena in Kettering. Get your tickets at flyingtothehoop.com/tickets.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com. You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Ken, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Were the Browns playing this next week?
Really? That's how we're going to. That's fair. You know, it's the Bengals week. It's fair.
You know, you wanted to go ahead and blow your horn about beating the Bengals twice this year, and you should beat our backups last week. Congratulations. Just enjoy the off season.
Enjoy the off season, indeed. Ken Anderson, shots fired. Coming at me about the Cleveland Browns. But yes, the Cleveland Browns dominance over the Cincinnati. What's up, Cincinnati? You beat up on the Ravens. You beat up on the Steelers. You can't handle my Browns. Browns too much. Browns too much for you. I get it. One team that was not too much for you, though, was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that particular team, somehow, some way, in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are in the postseason. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. This is Big Ben's final season in Pittsburgh. By the way, I do find it interesting how they keep phrasing that. They keep saying it's his final season in Pittsburgh. Have we got confirmation that it's his final season in the NFL?
It better be.
Because I think there's a team out there that's willing to give him the old Brett Favre retirement farewell tour or something. I don't know who that team would be. We'll talk about that later. But, let's see. Teams kept giving Cam Newton a damn shot. You might as well keep giving Big Ben a damn shot. My goodness. Big Ben can still throw, kind of. More than Cam at this point. My goodness. I have no clue. But so somehow, some way, coming into the year, the offseason was about who would finish in last, the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Cincinnati Bengals. I was adamant that the Cincinnati Bengals would finish in last and that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be third, with the Ravens second and the Browns first. And we all know when Kinner says something, he speaks it into existence. That I am the LeVar Ball of Dayton Sports Talk Radio. Not a good thing, by the way. Actually, no. If it would be a good thing. LeVar Ball at least does speak things into existence. Let's just be clear. You don't have to like how he does it, but he does. Bottom line is, I could not be more wrong. The two teams I had fighting it out coming into the season, to be fair, most. You look at the rosters of the Ravens and the rosters of the Browns, it really doesn't take a genius to understand why those two teams are picked to finish 1 and 2 in the AFC North. And then you look at who the Bengals were coming into the year. It doesn't surprise you why many critics were saying that they would only win 6 to 7 games this year. I don't think that's hating. I thought that was common sense. You had a quarterback, a rookie QB coming off a season-ending injury. How would he adapt to that? You're really relying on a rookie wide receiver to come in and change the fortunes of a team. That doesn't happen. So why would we think different? The defense, I didn't think that, they replaced Lawson with Hendrickson. They lost, some key secondary guys and replaced them with the Awuzie and Hilton, which Hilton was a definite upgrade, and Awuzie has proven to be an upgrade, but at the time, I didn't think that they did enough to warrant. They drafted a kicker. I mean, let's be honest. If I was to tell you that a team that won 6 games a year ago is going to rely on a rookie wide receiver, a rookie kicker, and some middle-of-the-pack defensive additions, if you wanted me to believe in that to turn a team around, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm that much of a hater for saying I don't think that's going to happen. That's usually common sense with the way football works. Usually. The Bengals are the exception to the rule. I'm willing to admit that I was wrong on that, and that's fine. Pittsburgh, though, I don't get. I don't understand. It was supposed to be the Browns and the Ravens finishing 1 and 2 in no particular order. I would have loved the Browns to finish 1. I never in a bajillion years would have envisioned coming into the season. And Bob Love, I know you're on hold and you're going to give me a lot of crap because you get a chance to say I told you so. And I'm going to let you here in a few moments. But I never thought that it would be the Bengals number 1 and the Steelers number 2. And to be fair, it wasn't Kinner hating. That's what every critic out there, every analyst out there thought. So no one gets to do the I told you so thing because this wasn't an I told you so thing. I mean, every year you are told to give your opinions on how you think the AFC North is going to pan out. I also give you who I think about the NFC East and the NFC North. When I'm wrong about those, nobody cares because it really doesn't matter. But because you have to pump your chest, Bengals fans, and I'm about to give Kev his opportunity to pump his chest, as he should. But my goodness, no one would have ever thought that it would have been the Bengals 1 and the Steelers 2 with the Ravens in last place. The Browns have that going for me. The Browns are not in last place, baby. They're third. So it is what it is. They're the same as they were last year, third. Anyways, 518-1410. We'll take your calls in a moment, but I want to set up Kev because the Steelers are in. The Steelers are in. And to be fair to Kev has never said that this was a playoff team. So you have to be consistent here. And I believe you will. You're the most real one when it comes to any of this sports talk crap. So let's just be real. But let me hit the music. Kev, the floor is yours, Steeler fan.
Thursday, our number 2 playmaker, Deontay Johnson, goes on the COVID list. Going into the week, Deontay Johnson had over 100 catches, over 1,000 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns receiving. He's a good playmaker, very good playmaker, especially for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's on the COVID list. By God's will, he comes off the COVID list the very next day. So from that moment on, I was like, okay, we still got a shot. 10% chance of making the playoffs at kickoff at 1 o'clock. Obviously, by now, everybody knows what needed to happen. But let me remind people what needed to happen. We needed Jacksonville to defend home field and beat the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts, all they had to do was beat the worst team in football, and they're in the playoffs with Carson Wentz and Jonathan Taylor. Well, Blondie, Goldilocks, Trevor Lawrence, the Buckeye Killer, saved his best game for the biggest moment for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And former Cincinnati Bengal Marvin Jones had himself a game as well. And not to be outdone, Josh Johnson. Josh Allen, not the Josh Allen that plays QB for the Bills. Josh Allen, the defensive end / outside linebacker, 2 sacks, and held Jonathan Taylor to 77 yards rushing with that defense. Thank you, Duval County. Thank you, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Pittsburgh Steelers going up against their number 1 rival, the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens had something to play for as well because they needed Jacksonville to win that game as well. And after the game, Everybody said they were scoreboard watching because they both needed that to happen. So both teams were giving it their all. Pittsburgh Steelers finally scored a touchdown. Shouts out to Chase Claypool. Had himself a good game. Finally. I think probably like the first good game he's had all season. Came at the right time. Had some great catches. A touchdown catch. Had some great blocks on the outside. The Pittsburgh Steelers take the lead in the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, they have the best kicker I've ever seen in my life. And he tied up the ball game. The Ravens did. Big Ben gets the ball back. And potentially his last game ever in the NFL, and drives us down the field for a game-winning field goal. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers have 9 victories on the season. Big Ben in that offense has five game-winning drives. That is insane. This team, as Mike Tomlin said, we have warts. And oh, do we. Our run defense is garbage, last in the league. But we have a quarterback who is way over the hill. But like I said, in week 1 versus the Bills, they don't need Big Ben to be Big Ben of old. He just needs Big Ben to be a Hall of Famer in the fourth quarter. And Big Ben was a Hall of Famer in the fourth quarter in overtime 5 times this season, making key throws, converting first downs, and yes, he should retire. Now, the game that everybody was watching, what I thought was going to happen, I didn't care what was going to happen. I didn't care if the Raiders won. I didn't care if the Chargers won, as long as it wasn't a tie. And oh my goodness, it was about to end in a tie. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and all I could think to myself is, this is how it ends. They're going to tie, and we're going to miss the playoffs in a scenario that nobody in their mama would believe. But through the grace of a dumb coaching move, calling a timeout, and a nice run by Jacobs, they kicked the field goal to win the game and to send my Pittsburgh Steelers to the playoffs. Of course, we're going to get thrashed by Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. Rightfully so. Kansas City's way better football team than us. But the simple fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers got blown out by the Cincinnati Bengals twice this year, blown out by the Kansas City Chiefs, blown out by other teams, but from some way, somehow, they were able to sweep the Browns and sweep the Ravens. By those wins alone, they found themselves in the playoffs. And for some ungodly reason, the tie versus the Lions helped them get into the playoffs. Unbelievable. I'm here for it. I love my team. I love my quarterback. I love the Steelers. I'll be watching on Sunday, watching us get blown out. But we made it. And damn it, that's good enough.
You are as bad of a Steelers fan as Shaw is a Michigan fan. Holy moly. We're going to get our asses kicked and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, we are. But I'll be watching, though.
Fair enough. Fair enough. My goodness.
Oh, shit. One more thing. Shouts out to Minka Fitzpatrick. He had a key hit on Hollywood Brown that would have set the Ravens up for a game-winning field goal attempt. He knocked the ball out of his hands, which ain't really hard to do with Marquise Hollywood Brown, but great play by Minka Fitzpatrick. Got a shot about.
My thing is this with the Ravens, Harbaugh, he was being praised for his aggressiveness, going for the 2-point conversion in the win against the Packers a few weeks ago. Bet you wish you would have tried to extend that game into overtime now. See, that's the thing. You know, too many times trying to play the analytical game in baseball costs you games. Trying to play the analytical game in football costs you games. Just because, and this is the thing too, I always say, and last night was Staley and the Chargers. You know, if you want to use analytics, that's fine, but you got to use them correctly, and results still matter. The reason I can't stay on advanced analytics, and I don't want to get into a rant that I regularly go on, especially because it's, you know, January and March will be here before you know it, spring training in baseball.
Will there be
hopefully, maybe. But the thing is that's fine if you want to be an organization that uses those analytics and lets the analytics drive the bus. But if the analytics aren't resulting in the results that you're aiming for, then you're not doing it correctly and you made the wrong choice. I don't believe that just because the outcome wasn't what you wanted and the statistics show that you have a better shot of going for it on fourth down than punting it away. I'm sorry, but like if you're not winning games with the use of analytics, then it doesn't matter. You know, it does not matter. And, you know, the Ravens, for being as aggressive as they are in a lot of those situations, and Harbaugh was being praised all year. What do you got to say now? if the Steelers could back end into the playoff, and I'm not trying to take anything away from them too much because Tomlin's still my coach of the year. I think what he did was more impressive with a not so talented roster. What he did with that roster getting into the playoffs is more impressive than a 10-win Bengals team with all that talent. As far as I'm concerned, more talented, no. Better team, no. More impressive, absolutely. They're in the damn postseason with that roster. We thought Big Ben was playing his final game of the year yesterday. And it's like an overtime in the season, basically. He's getting extra time.
It's house money, baby.
Good for him. But at the end of the day, you can't sit here and brag about the Chargers and they're diving into the use of analytics and the Ravens doing the same thing. Well, both teams are sitting at home. And if you would have taken the damn point and taken the Packers into overtime, is it guaranteed that you're going to win? No, but you put fresh time up on the clock and allow your team, which puts you in position for it to come down to that field goal to begin with, to have a chance to win that ball game. So I have a huge problem with the Ravens not being in the postseason because not of injuries, but because of boneheaded decision-making throughout the year of this analytical crap. And the same thing with the Chargers. Last night was just, and by the way, the timeout didn't bother me a ton because had they come out of the timeout and got a stop, then they would have called another timeout, got the ball back, and had a chance to get down and field. People made too much of that timeout to a certain extent because the Raiders were going to run that clock down if the timeout wasn't called. So to me, calling the timeout was the smart thing to do because the Raiders would then have to run a play coming out of the timeout. So coming out of the I have no clue why people are so angry about that timeout because they wanted the ball back. The Chargers, I guess what people are arguing about is that the Chargers should have just let them run out the time, then both get in.
Yeah.
But I give the Chargers somewhat credit because they said, we want to win the damn game. I don't blame them for that. I blame them for not executing defensively. Like, you get a stop against the Raiders on that 3rd and long, then they have to punt, and then you get the ball back, and now you dictate whether you go win that game or tie it. And that's why I don't understand why there's so much hate going the Chargers' way for that. What I have a problem with is that the Chargers have lost multiple games this year because the analytical approach of just giving up common sense plays for the use of analytics and then saying, well, and then trying to tell the critics that they don't understand. You don't understand football. You just lost, sir. What are you talking about? You can't call media stupid after losing because we're not smart enough to understand why they went for it when they did. No. I'm defending the timeout. I'm not going to defend the analytical approaches that cost them opportunities throughout the season to where it shouldn't have come down to having to tie or not to make the postseason. Why do you have a problem with the timeout? Because like I said, I didn't have a problem with it unless you're in favor of them going for the tie, which I just thought that was kind of weak in my opinion. I don't like teams going for the tie if you go win. The Raiders said, screw this, we're just going to go for the win then, and they did.
From my perspective, it looked like the Raiders were just going to let the clock wind down and run it into the line of scrimmage, and that be the ball game. I don't think that the Raiders were trying to score. I think they were trying to milk the clock. And according to the Chargers, they called a timeout to get their run defense on the field. And
which is already, the run defense is one of the worst in the league to begin with.
Exactly. So I'm not sure what you were accomplishing by calling the timeout because, like you said, they didn't execute getting them on the ground, tackling behind the line of scrimmage, tackling them at the line of scrimmage. Really, that run put them in position to kick the field goal. It was like, oh, well, they called the timeout. We got the first down. We're well in range. Let's just go ahead and kick it. If he misses it, we're going to the playoffs anyway. So it put them in a position to lose because you gave them more time on the clock, kind of like how when Auburn had Alabama against the ropes and Tank Gibbsley, the running back for Auburn, he ran out of bounds, which stopped the clock and then gave Alabama enough time to go drive the length of the field and score and then eventually win it in overtime. Like when you have basically the playoffs wrapped up and it was a lot of confusion out there. Like, you can look at the replay of the Chargers as like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So in that instance, if you don't know what you want to try to do, yeah, you call a timeout, but you don't call a timeout right then and there. You call the timeout and continue to let time tick off the clock. Like, time going off the clock is in your favor if you're the Chargers. The bigger issue I had a problem with was way earlier in the game is when they went for it on 4th and 2 at their 20. Like, this is Tecmo Bowl. This ain't Madden. They went to Tecmo Bowl style and went for it on 4th and 2 from their own 20. Didn't get it. They end up holding the Raiders to a field goal attempt, and they end up making it and everything like that. But that put them further behind the 8 ball. So when you talk about like analytics, and when we talk about analytics and you have the coach get up there and talk about people don't know football, like that's a slap in the face that everybody that's played and coached football before, like, look, man, you're rolling the dice here so many times. And yeah, you've come up good a lot of times, but towards the back end, a lot of this stuff starts to even out, just like with Jim Harbaugh. Earlier in the season when he was going for 2 and going for 4th downs and converting, like against that game against Kansas City, and earlier in the season, everything's coming up in your favor. But eventually, all those are going to start catching up with you and go the other way. And that's exactly what happened to them the back half of the season. The Ravens, when they went for 2, I didn't mind them going for 2 versus Green Bay. The one that if I wasn't a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, obviously, was the one when they went for 2 versus the Steelers. And the rhetoric that he used was, well, we were banged up in the secondary. Well, I like my chances with my defense versus that quarterback. No offense, Big Ben, but you're not Big Ben back in 2020. You know what I'm saying? You're old now and you're kind of shot, and you have the best kicker in the league. I was a fan of prolonging that game if I'm the Ravens in that sense. But analytics is here to stay because we're going to get younger and younger coaches in the NFL, and that's what they do. I'm just not a fan of definitely not going for it on my own 20. That reeks of desperation. That reeks of I don't trust my defense to get any type of stops. It's a total difference between going for it at 4th from the 50 or the 40-yard line. When you're at the 20, that's a guaranteed 3 points for the other team. And we look at San Diego, as many times as they went for it inside the red zone versus Kansas City, that game came back to bite them because they lost that game and now this game. So it's just so many times that it hasn't come up in their favor. It's time for them to like really reevaluate their approach to football.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing is, hey, by the way, if you're being aggressive and you're using analytics and it's leading to winning and you're making the playoffs, then you know what? I'll be quiet. But, this is what I get mad about with the Reds. When you're constantly forcing the analytics in our face and you're not in the playoffs and you're not winning ball games and you're not competitive, I have a problem with that. That means it's not working. So I'm sure there's a right way to use analytics, but you got to use it the right way. Just like there's a right way to run a zone and there's a wrong way to run a zone in basketball. If you run a zone and say, well, all the good teams are running zone and, well, your zone's bad, then don't run the zone then because you're not good at it. If you want to use analytics and you're not good at it, then stop using it until you find someone that knows how to orchestrate it correctly.
The Browns do it great. The Browns do it great. Stefanski, if he's at the 50 and it's under 3 yards, they're going for it.
I'm with that. It doesn't always mean that they pick it up.
I'm with that. I understand that. I mean, that's a solid approach. But anything past 5 yards, they punt it. Like, to me, that makes sense. But if you're going for 4th and 2 at your 20, like, come on, man. Like, that's just crazy to me, man. This is not a video game, man. This isn't a video game where you got Michael Vick on the edge and you can get the corner every single time and everything like that. And especially with the Ravens, when they were going for it on 4th down, they're running the zone read with Lamar Jackson. That type of stuff works when you have that caliber quarterback. And he is that caliber quarterback. He's not super athletic like Lamar Jackson, but he can run. He can run on the edge. You turning and handing and giving it to a running back or throwing the pass, I don't think those are better odds than, getting your quarterback on the move, giving him a run pass option. So I question going for it. I question some of those play calls. But ultimately, we up in that thing. We up in that thing.
All right, I know we have Bob in Kettering. We have Mr. Bob Love waiting for us. We have Vicky in Dayton. We have a couple more of you guys on hold. We appreciate those being patient. But let's get to the calls on the other side. 518-1410. Reaction to last night's Chargers-Raiders game. My problem is everyone out there saying, settle for the tie, settle for the tie. You're the same people that call out the college seniors for opting out, or college NFL stars for opting out of NFL games because where's the true competitive spirit? And then you're the same ones yelling, go for the tie, go for the tie. No, hello? You play to win the game. Smart man once said. Hello? You cheat to win the game. What? Come on now. That's not who he is. I'll never forget that. By the way, when I saw that those, he's been on the show multiple times, and I said, "Hey, you're the one that I believe does it the right way. You feel that puts you at a disadvantage?" And of course, he said, "Absolutely not." And then all the reports come out that hey, he's cheating with the best of them. But you got to cheat to keep your job. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
It ain't cheating no more, is it? superior training with college credits available after training, excellent benefits, and a rewarding career, then the Dayton Fire Department needs you. Visit joindaytonfire.com for more information today. Minorities especially encouraged to apply. The DFD is an equal opportunity employer. The Dayton Fire Department. Come live the dream.
Fed up with companies selling your data? DuckDuckGo is on it. They help millions of people like you take back their privacy online. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-885-9500. That's 1-800-885-9500. 1-800-885-9500. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Folks, you won't find old Roy at Homestead Feed and Supply. We carry raw-coated Canidae, a new product. Less in, less out. Best breed, an Ohio company. Blue Buffalo and other premium dog foods. Because you love your dog, Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Game time, you know what that means. Burgers, dogs, your favorite ice-cold beverage, and football. Hi, this is Kirby with Audio Etc. And if you're going to invite the gang over, you can't do it on that old-fashioned high-def TV. What you need to do is come by Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see the latest in 4K picture, 4 times the resolution of high definition, and experience it in 11.2 Dolby Atmos surround sound. Until you do that, you're just watching some big guys run around the field with numbers on it. See, hear, and feel what you've been missing. Installation available. 1 year, same as cash to QBs, not quarterbacks, qualified buyers. Audio Etc. Dayton's finest audio and video. And remember, all 4K TVs and projectors from Audio Etc. are gluten-free. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Fed up with companies selling your data? DuckDuckGo is on it. They help millions of people like you take back their privacy online. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Oh, yeah. It was the national championship game.
Yes, sir.
I forgot about that, to be honest. Not really. I knew it was tonight. I don't get it, man. Like, I talked about this with Byers on his show earlier today, which you can catch the Keith Byers Show every Monday from noon to 1. Keith Byers Show presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. But hang out with Keith Byers every Monday at noon, and you can hear his thoughts on the college football playoff, NFL postseason, everything. But for whatever reason, it's not for whatever reason. We know it. College football, I've never seen a sport be so popular yet so regionalized.
Mm-hmm.
Like baseball, Major League Baseball, that's regional as can be. But it's not popular as can be. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like when the Reds are out, I'm out.
Right.
Like, I know that's not a good thing. As a sports radio host, I know I need to be pretending, I watch every team, I watch every game. That's not accurate. I'm not going to pretend to be someone. I'm not going to pretend that I watch Rays baseball, and they're really freaking good. I don't watch the Rays. If the Reds aren't playing the Rays, I'm not watching the Rays. If the Rays, but I'm familiar. I know the main storylines in baseball. I know which teams to follow and all that. I watch a lot of baseball. I don't watch every team in Major League Baseball. The NFL, I can tell you about every damn team in the NFL. The NBA, I can tell you about 95% of the teams in the NBA, the teams that matter. I can tell you, a lot about that. College football, same thing. But for whatever reason, for as big as college football is, the national championship game, Kev, I'm just kind of like, And it's freaking Bama. It's Georgia. It is the two best teams in college football going head-to-head tonight. And, last year was all into it, but Ohio State was in it.
Right.
But if Ohio State wasn't in it last year, I don't know. Some friends, we're all going to have some drinks tonight, watch the game. Okay, cool. But it just, I don't know. To me, it fascinates me. You have the best coach in the history of college football. I don't even think that's arguable. You can have opinions about coaches from the past. It's not that they're bad, but Nick Saban is doing it. He's been able to keep this train going throughout the ebbs and flows of college football. Not everything has to be hate. Not everything has to be a debate even. Mm-hmm. I think what we're watching with Nick Saban is we're going to tell I don't plan on having kids, but, I'm going to tell my accidental kids one day that I watched Nick Saban, right? I'm just saying, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's amazing to me how that's not even moving the needle. It's not. Alabama, Cincinnati, second least watched semifinal matchup of all time. Georgia, Michigan, third least watched. Georgia, Michigan was the second least watched semifinal game of all time. Alabama and Cincinnati was the third least semifinal matchup watched of all time. I think it has a lot to do with the New Year's Eve thing, as we talked about. But, man, for a sport that is so dominant, it's amazing how much it falls off we build to this point. Right. I think that the build to the playoff and the drama in the build to the playoff is a bigger deal than the actual playoff and the actual national championship game. It's crazy to me.
This national championship game is lost in the mix. It's lost in the mix of everything. It's lost in the mix of week 17 of the NFL season, this epic weekend that we just had in the NFL with so much drama going on, the return of Kyrie Irving, the return of Klay Thompson, the return of NBA mattering during the regular season, everything like that. This national championship game seems like an afterthought. And I don't think it's because Ohio State isn't in it. I think it's that. I think they're still trying to figure out the best day to put this game on. We talked about the whole situation with New Year's Eve and those semifinals just kind of feeling wonky, and they're never felt like they are properly placed. And I don't think this championship game is properly paced because there's no room for the buildup because the NFL dominates all. So all week long, last week, you're gearing up for all these scenarios of who's going to make the NFL playoffs, and very little was made about the championship game. So then after everything happens on Sunday and all the madness happens on Sunday, we do the highlights on Monday on ESPN. We talk about the aftermath, and then people realize the championship game is tonight. So now when we get home after work and everything like that, we turn on ESPN at 6:00 and championship game is in 2 hours. Let's make it hype. Let's get all dialed into it. I think it's lost in the shuffle, and there's no way on God's green earth that this game should be lost in the shuffle. This is the national championship game. This is it. This doesn't happen in March Madness. Mm-mm. When March Madness championship game is on, that's the hot topic. But I think the NFL has consumed everything and just blocked it.
But that's also college football's fault because you moved the title game wasn't moved. The title game's Monday night. The title game should be on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
The reason the NFL, everyone acts like, why does the NFL add Saturday night football games later in the season? Because that's when football stops.
Right.
College football stops. The NFL would be on Saturdays from week one if they could. If college football wasn't there. College football opened the door to allowing the NFL to place games on Saturday night. If the national championship game was this past Saturday night, there wouldn't be NFL games on Saturday night. But now, because NFL has it, they're not giving it up. It's like John Dutton's land. They're not giving it up.
Right.
For my Yellowstone people. They're not giving it up. So, it is what it is. But I will say this. I see what you're saying, but college football has no point competing head-to-head with the NFL throughout the week all season and then you get to the biggest games of the year and now they can't compete. That's where I'm like, that's crazy. But I think it's college football is at its strength, is stronger when it's everything going. You take the biggest programs in college football, it's still not enough to compete. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, you could put all of those in the playoff. It's still not strong enough to compete with the NFL. That's how dominant the NFL is.
Don't you think the College Football Committee and ESPN and the NCAA should go to the NFL and try to work something out to say, like, look, man, we're having trouble promoting our game, a la your minor league. Can't we come to some type of agreement of like, all right, well, you guys aren't going to do, well, they won't, but like find a spot for this national championship game for it to get its just due, for it to get its just service. Because I think ESPN and college football in general has done a poor job with the college football playoff. Like, I don't ever remember this type of nonchalant, it's the natty, it's the semifinal in the BCS era. Like, BCS era was much watch TV. No matter who was in the national championship game, no matter who was in these BCS games, people were tuning in to watch these BCS games. And now it's almost like an afterthought if the matchup isn't what people deem as worthy of watching. I think ESPN has done a poor job in placing these games because we talked about this a ton. The media partners tell them when they're going to play. So if ESPN is going to flex their muscle, let's come up with a better rollout to this. Let's come up with a better rollout to the semifinal. Let's come out with a better rollout to the national championship game. And if that means leaving the bowl system alone to say, like, look, the only thing that's going to matter or to us is the semifinal. So we're going to take our semifinals away from the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and they can just continue to do their bowls and we'll air them and everything like that. But this is a property that y'all paid a lot of money for. So you would imagine you would do everything in your power to make sure it's pub the best and you get the most viewers in. I just think they just did a very poor job of executing it.
Yeah, and keep in mind, the problem is these media deals, they're getting the money up front, so they don't care about moving the games around. The money's theirs no matter what. I guarantee you, if these media partners said, hey, the product that we're going to pay you billions of dollars for, it better be worth it. If we believe it's going to be, we'll pay you, you get this rating, you'll get this amount. Like I'm pretending to understand how all this works behind the scenes. I'm saying that, by the way, who has leverage there? The buyers or the product? The product is really good, but the money's even better than the product itself, obviously. So
I would imagine
So who has when you sit down, who has leverage in that? The college football playoff? Because you would think I have the product you want to buy. But the amount of money that these fools are willing to pay for that product, it's like they almost have leverage because of the money that they're willing to spend for it. In all seriousness, who has leverage?
I would imagine the product, right? Because that's what we're tuning in for. That's what we want to see, right?
I think so. Like, and by the way, I'm curious, people on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter is at 1410 Kenner or at 1Kev Nash, tweet into the show. Who has leverage sitting down here? Does the college football playoff have leverage with these buyers, with these sponsors? Or do the sponsors have the leverage because they have the money? And the reason I ask is because if I'm the sponsors, I come together and say, okay, we're going to make this an incentive-based thing. Or at the very least, you're going to get this amount. But if we get this rating, you'll get this. If we get this rating, we'll get this. And I feel like that would then force the college football playoff to have to sit down and not take chances on New Year's Eve and have to deliver on set nights. Hey, if we go on New Year's Eve and lose millions and millions of viewers, that's not, we're losing out on X amount of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So if we move it to this night and we know we can get this rating, that means we're going to make X amount more. Again, I'm just spitballing here. I don't know. Those semifinal matchups we talked about, like Michigan and Georgia, still drew like 16 million views. You still have 16. It's not like I'm not saying that nobody's watching these games, but there's meat being left on the bone. Because the fact that 16 million people watched and that's still the second and third least watched game ever, Kev, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because clearly you have a product that a bad night is 16 million. When most sports, 16 million is they're doing cartwheels for. So that's why I'm just like, I think just like in pro sports, when the TV network deals got done, when Bob Castellini doesn't have to put a good product on the field because he's getting his TV money up front, to where back in the day, your money was based on how many asses in the seats there were and how much concessions you sold. So guess what? It was important to overspend on a roster because you needed people to fill your ballpark for you to make money. And if people didn't go to your games, you weren't making money. But now the TV networks pay so much damn money for this product that you're getting the money up front, and the Reds don't have to put a winner on the field. They just have to keep selling hope. We have a great farm system. All right. We're going to put things together and we'll spend money when the time is right. Just keep believing, Reds fans, keep believing. Reds fans aren't going to games. But there's no urgency to get fans to go to games because they're getting their TV deal money up front. To where back in the day, if you needed money, you had to have asses in seats.
Right.
To have asses in seats, you needed to have players worth watching, which means they would get players that were better because now you're going to watch those players. Now the Castellinis, and it's all owners, there's no urgency to put a winner on the field. Some teams make a living off of appearing to be competitive, and I believe that's what the Reds just did to us. We'll go get Nick Castellanos and Mike Moustakas and some of these cats. We'll make these fans believe that we're going for it just so a year later we could sell everything off and say we don't have the money. Oh, really, Mr. Billionaire Castellini, you don't have the money? Oh, boo-hoo. Yeah, you're really going to get, oh, my gosh, it frustrates me. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And the thing about it, these TV networks, what we always got to keep in mind, they need programming. They always need programming. Like, new programming is king. And when you have a product and a program like the college football playoff that basically runs from August until January, it's just sad that the crescendo is somewhat of a dud. Like, we get this sometimes in the Super Bowl where we wait all season long. We love the regular season with, our teams, and then we got our fantasy teams, and then we watching the playoffs, hate watching, rooting for the quarterback that we like more, rooting for the coach that we think is better than the other coach and everything like that. And then you get to the Super Bowl and it's a dud. Nobody wants a dud at the end of the season. And that's the unfortunate part. You can't predict if it's going to be a dud or not. Like, that's the thing about it. So do you think it has to do with matchup? Because I think if Ohio State was in this game, this would be wall-to-wall coverage.
Do we think that because we're Ohio State fans? What's another matchup that we could say that about? Like I say, you know what I mean?
I think
take Georgia out. Would Michigan make this any more watchable? If it was Georgia-Cincinnati, would it be any more watchable?
Depending on what happened in those.
But
depending on what happened in that matchup. If UC would have showed up and done something that I personally think they should have did, and as much as I love Coach Figo, I do think this was a slight mistake. You have two NFL corners. I think that you just man those dudes up and then you load the box with your safeties and everything like that to try to take away the run from Alabama. But that's a story for another day. If UC was able to pull the upset and shut Alabama completely down, I think you can sell that to the general public to say, like, yo, they knocked off Goliath, but can they really get it done versus Georgia? I think that's something you could sell. A lot of people out there aren't college football fanatics. They are story-driven people. They need a story to lock in. And when you have a program like Alabama who constantly wins, and now you have Georgia, another team from the SEC, I think that turns a lot of the college football fan base off. Like, oh man, two teams from the SEC. We know the SEC people will be watching. We know everybody in Atlanta is going to be watching. We know everybody in Tuscaloosa is going to be watching. But is that going to draw into people from New York City? Is that going to draw into people from LA who has 75-degree weather and they got things to do on a Monday night and everything like that? We need that storyline like that. Because, I mean, think about it like this. Think about the Texas USC game. Like, that's a storyline. You have LA's team before they had two NFL franchise with USC and them going for a three-peat and everything like that. And then you have Texas with Vince Young and that great offense and that great defense. Like, that's a storyline. People love storylines. I don't see a storyline in this game because a lot of people are already like, well, Alabama just blew them out in the SEC championship game. Why do I need to watch this? Like, that's the type
Georgia, Alabama, when they met in the title game in 18, they drew 29 million viewers.
Yeah.
They're not drawing 29 this year.
I doubt it.
Let's see. Clemson, Alabama from 19 drew 25 million. LSU, Clemson, 25 million. That was the Joe Burrow year. Ohio State, Clemson was 19 million. That was the semifinal from last year. And then it didn't have the championship rating from last year. As far
that
as
was last
concerned.
year.
No, it was Ohio State, Bama in the title game.
I thought so. Okay. I thought that was the one you just said.
No, I said Ohio State, Clemson. They played Ohio
okay.
State. So in this chart, it did not. This must have come out right before the national championship game, so it didn't include the national championship.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
This is sportsmediawatch.com. All right, 518-1410. We got the phones working again. We had phone issues at first. I don't know if those guys are still on hold.
I'll check.
We'll check on that. Bob, our phones went out for a bit, so if we're still on hold, we're going to get to you on the other side. But 518-1410. How jacked up are you for tonight's college football national championship game? I'm here to tell you that we're sounding like a bunch of snobs. It's arguably the best college football dynasty ever in Alabama. I mean, it's unbelievable what we're watching. And to watch Nick Saban transition to go through so many changes in the sport and not lose a step, man, you don't have, I mean, I know the thing is we like to hate Alabama and we like to blame biases and we like to blame cheating and all that. College football is, I think, one big cesspool when it comes to cheating to begin with. So don't be bringing that up with Alabama. All right, your team does it too. I promise you, Ohio State does it. There's no doubt in my mind that they do it. Am I saying they're doing anything wrong? No. Every team's just doing it. It is what it is. Ohio State's just really good at not getting caught. As long as Zach Smith's not ordering sex dolls to his office at the Woody of all places, then I'm just saying. But 518-1410, we'll be back in a moment.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 28. Tonight's going to be clear and very cold, a low near 10. And tomorrow's going to be clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 30. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill in the morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
Block heartburn all day and all night with Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
And now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that non-contact thermometers are not accurate. They also have inaccurate information on their labels regarding accuracy. New COVID strains are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
When your roommate borrows your car every day, it might be a blind spot. Even having people over to jump around on your trampoline. Yep, it also might be a blind spot. Blind spots are all the surprising things that might need more coverage that you weren't aware of. Good thing Allstate agents can help you find those blind spots while watching out for your wallet.
Call me, Dave Mowdy, at 325-2474. That's 325-2474. Right across the street from Frisch's on East Main Street in Springfield. Based on coverage selected, savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband. He lost weight. More important, cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend went and she lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months. So does Mark Patrick hypnosis work? Oh yeah, it works. Nothing has changed my life more. Well, except maybe my husband. He's so proud of me. Makes me cry.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99. Seminars Thursday, January 13th at the Holiday Inn in Fairborn. Weight loss 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Stop smoking 8 to 10 p.m. And Saturday, January 15th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Dayton. Weight loss 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and stop smoking 2 to 4. Registration begins 30 minutes before seminar.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
BC Powder knows life pushes us to the max, work to the max, family to the max. It can all mean pain to the max. So BC introduces new BC Max Strength. New BC Max relieves tough headaches and body pain at the speed of powder. Nothing stronger on pain without a prescription. Pain to the max? New BC Max. In a great tasting lemonade flavor.
Now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that the widely used non-contact thermometers are not accurate and have high probabilities for false negative readings. New COVID strands are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters most. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Don't wait. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Want the same internet but more privacy? DuckDuckGo's got you covered. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty is one of the sponsors of the show. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays a call today, 937-572-7425. In fact, if you give Brad Mays a call today and you're looking to buy or sell your home, and you initially meet with Brad, come baseball season, you're initially going to get a family pack of Reds tickets, a family 4-pack of Reds, assuming there's going to be a season, of course. But
nice.
But that's the deal. Everyone that uses Brad between now and the length of the sponsorship of the show the next couple of months will get a family 4-pack of Reds tickets. So keep that in mind moving forward. But give Brad Mays a call today, 937-572-7425. That's Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. He is, my realtor. My fiance and I, we just closed in our first home and all moved in, and Brad was there every step of the way, including, I don't think he's going to help you move, but he helped us move. So that was pretty damn cool. I was like, man, I don't know how many realtors actually help you bring a fridge down basement stairs, but he was right there helping guide it. I said, this thing goes down, we're both going. So, it is what it is. But shout out to Brad. I appreciate him, and I know he'll do a great job for you as well. Charlie says, hey, Justin, just letting you know that he is out having a steak dinner in honor of Chase and Burrow's historic season. I'm across from the Nutter Center. Feels good celebrating on your turf. And he
nice
put Houday at the end.
Nice steak dinner. Steak dinner sounds good tonight.
I'm assuming he's on Texas Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
We used to have a good deal with them. They used to bring in, back when Mark Neal was here, I had just started running the board, and I could not wait for, I believe it was either Tuesdays or Thursdays, but Texas Roadhouse would bring in some nice ribs. They'd bring in some steak, mashed potatoes, and the white gravy. I mean, my goodness, the rolls.
Yeah.
By the way, anytime like we have like a family get together, we have to bring something. I'm like, I'm going to make a trip to Texas Roadhouse and get some rolls. And then those are for me. And then I'll stop at the store and get something for the cookout on the way.
And then like some good rolls. Oh, and that cinnamon butter.
God love the cinnamon butter.
I might have to make a call. I'm going to have to make a call to the wife. Tell her that's what we're having for dinner tonight.
Yeah, and then give her my address so she could drop off ours on her way. We live close, about half-hour differential?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's what it is. He brings this up. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, their historic season. I have a problem with Jamar Chase's records that he broke yesterday, and here's why. To be fair, Byers and I went through the list of all the records that were broke yesterday. If you are bragging about a record that you needed 17 games to break a 16-game record, I have a problem with that. I'm not going to get on board with that unless it came within the natural competitiveness of a game. Now, I believe TJ Watt set a record yesterday, correct? Mm-hmm. But they needed that game. He had to play in that game.
Jamar Chase, he missed 2 games this season.
So, and that's fair. And that I'll give you on that. That's fair. But Jamar Chase and everyone drooling over his record that he broke yesterday. And if this comes across as haterade, I don't care. I would be saying this about Jarvis Landry in Cleveland or anybody that was in this position to break this record. This was a rookie record. I get it.
Right.
But the point is, Kev, I mean, if I'm Chad Johnson, I'm pissed. I know he's a big fan of Jamar Chase, and I am too. I'm not anti-Jamar Chase. I'm just anti-anybody that brags about breaking a record that really you didn't need to be out there to break to begin with. I just have a problem with it, Kev, because they rolled him out there for 10 plays. They gave him 10 plays to go break this record and then go sit on the sideline for the rest. Like, come on. Like, I have a problem with that. Like, so TJ Watt at least got that record the Steelers were fighting for a playoff spot. The starters were playing, and it came naturally within the competitiveness of that game with the Ravens. That was stupid yesterday, watching Jamar Chase beat that record. I felt bad for Chad Ochocinco because that record shouldn't count for Jamar Chase. I just thought that was crap. I really do. I'm not hating on your Bengals. I'd be saying this about any team, I promise. But, like, stop bragging about the record that he broke. The only reason he needed 17 games to break that, and he's had a fantastic season, but he played like crap for a good month and a half stretch too. If he wasn't averaging 45 yards per game for about 6 straight games and only 2 touchdowns in that stretch, he would have broke that record a long time ago. But I'm not a fan, Kev, at all of rolling him out there for it felt like a preseason game yesterday. Now that's because the Bengals took care of business, won the division, and the Browns were eliminated last week, and the game basically meant nothing. That's my point. You rested the majority of your starters because you clinched the division and you're resting up for the playoffs, but then you trot him out there for 10 plays just so he could break this record, and then you send him off to the locker room. Kev, I don't care if I come across as a hater. I've behaved real well since coming into the new year, but I do have a huge problem with it, and I don't care if people have a problem with it, me having a problem with it. I would have a problem if the Steelers had the division wrapped up and they played TJ Watt for 10 plays to go break a sack record in 17 games at a record that was previously broken in 16. I have a huge problem with it. And that's not just Jamar Chase. I would be saying that across the board. How about yesterday? The tight end from Florida, Pitts,
yes.
Okay. He needed like 100-something yards. He ended up not doing it, but Mike Ditka had the most receiving yards by a tight end ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if the record for Ditka was a rookie tight end record or the most receiving yards from a tight end ever.
Rookie. It was
a rookie.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ditka had that since 61, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It doesn't matter. The point is that record's been intact a long time, but Ditka broke that record in 14 games.
Right.
And this guy could have broke it in 17, and everyone would have been drooling over it, and I wouldn't be drooling over it. And that's not anti-Pitts. I'm not anti-Pitts. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I blame the NFL. There was no need to add a 17th game. It's not these guys' fault.
The Pitts thing, I have zero problem with. He's just going out there to play the game. Am I being
too hard on Chase? By the way, he's had a great year. I'm not anti-Chase, but what do you think?
Because Pitts, they're out of the playoffs. He's not going out there just to break a record. They're going out there to finish the season. The Chase one, I can see where you're coming from. But just like every other record that's broken and everything like that, his name will go down in history for the most receiving yards in a single season from a Cincinnati Bengal. And in like 2 or 3 years, we'll forget all about it.
Not me.
I'll remind
people.
Just like nobody remembers that Brett Favre gave Strahan that last sack. It was a bootleg out. He went the wrong way. Wink, wink. Brett Favre been in the league for 28 years. And, I forgot to play. I rolled right into the sack. Nobody's going to remember this. Nobody's going to remember that. Oh, yeah, Chase went out there the last game of the season, got this 15 yards, and then went to the locker room and changed clothes. Nobody's going to remember this. So, like you said, this isn't the player's fault. This is the NFL juicing more money, putting more games out there. So for the players' standpoint, yeah, they want to have records. Yeah, they want to go get those bonuses that are incentive laced. Like, hey man, if I get 5 catches and 85 more yards, I get $500,000. Hey man, let's make sure I get my money, man. I'm gonna take everybody out to dinner. Let me get that tunnel screen. Throw me some quick bubble screens so I can get these quick 5 catches real quick. That's what happens.
And I'm sure he got a bonus for that too. So
no doubt about it.
But like I said, if I'm Ocho Cinco, I'm pissed, and he won't come out publicly and say it, but I would be pissed. You're going to bump my record because you needed a 17th game to do it. And by the way, he was healthy all 17 games, played all 17 games, disappeared for a good chunk of games, but he was out there for 17 games. I am here. Let me just end it with this. The kid is freaking amazing. I said at the beginning, if he's not Justin Jefferson, then I'm not impressed with the draft pick because you had to draft somebody that was going to make a difference right away. He made a difference and then some. I have no doubt. I mean, let's be clear, though. He had a 6 week stretch where he was averaging about 45 yards a game and 2 touchdowns or 2 or 3 touchdowns in that stretch. He basically was non-existent for a good month and a half. I called that out and I was a hater, even though I was pointing it out. Bottom line is that's how good he is that he disappeared for a 6 week stretch and still put up 1,700 yards or 1,400 yards, whatever the hell it was. That's how good. Yeah. That's how good he is. I'm not here to dispute how good he is. I'm not here to do that. I just have a problem with I think it's disrespectful to Chad Johnson to force feed him that record that didn't come naturally within the competitive drive of a game. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. I promise you, Bengals fans, I know, consider the source, and I'm not going to get the benefit of the doubt. But if this was the Browns situation, I'd be saying the same thing. I didn't like it. There was a tight end. What tight end just broke or had a chance to break Travis? No. Travis Kelce almost had his record broke over the weekend, too. There was a ton of records. I'm very unorganized today. Shocker, I know. That I have to go back and find. We could talk about this more on tomorrow's show. But I just found that interesting. That's all. I wasn't comfortable with it. I didn't like it. If Chase played the whole game and was out there to be there for his team the whole game. But I don't like that me crap. Like, I need to get this record, so throw me the ball so I can get to the locker room at the end of the first quarter. I had a huge problem with that, and I would have a huge problem with any team that did it. So that's all.
I think the organization was in on it too.
No doubt. It was planned. They told you. They said during the week that they were only going to have like a 10 play package for him, and he had 10 plays to break the record. If he didn't do it, then they'd move on. But I just thought that was weird. That's all. I just think that's strange. It's not the end of the world, but it does. If I'm Chad Johnson, who got it naturally.
Well, that's the thing about it. That's the thing about it. If we go back to the year of 2007, where he had 1,400 yards receiving on 93 catches and 8 touchdowns that season, I'm not sure what the Bengals record was that year, but if we go back and dissect every single game, I'm sure there is a game out there where let's make sure Chad gets these 5 catches or something like that.
Well, if you don't know, you can't say that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying. Like, I'm sure there was a radio host at that time that when Chad broke that record said this exact same thing. And like I was saying before, in 5-10 years, this is going to be nothing. Nobody's going to remember it. And for better or worse.
Well, either way, the kid's good, but he's too damn good to be forced to be handed a record that he didn't earn. And I don't think he earned it because he didn't play well the entire season. So to have a record handed to him, by the way, he kicked the Ravens' ass multiple times. He kicked the Chiefs' ass. Those 3 games alone, the 2 Ravens games and the Chiefs. I'm not anti-Jamar Chase. Just hear me out. It doesn't matter. I need to stop over-explaining this because you guys are going to label me no matter what. But the bottom line is the 6 weeks of poor play that he had for the Bengals, he made up against the Ravens in both games and the Chiefs. That's how good he was against them. So he basically, the 200-yard performances that he had, Kevin, all that, take 75 yards off each of those and slap him into the 6 weeks that he played poorly, and then it all averages out. And that's what happened. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But, like, you can't rest all your starters because you won the division and said that the game meant nothing, and then force feed your number one wide receiver a bunch of plays just so he could break this all-time rookie. And then he's the best rookie receiver of all time. No, Chad Johnson is. Chad Johnson is. That's all. But Jamar Chase is really freaking good, too. So there's that. All right, we'll step away for a few moments more of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back. There's that damn Christmas back to again. I meant to hit it. It is what it is. It's like Jamar Chase. We just make up our own rules as we go.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects.
You probably wouldn't leave thousands of dollars on the table at a diner. Why leave thousands on the table with your tax return? Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you don't. This year, there are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits. Your Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro will help you track down every last one, so you get your biggest refund guaranteed. Don't leave thousands on the table this year. Discover thousands of dollars in tax credits instead.
Check, please.
Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
34 teams, 19 games, all in 4 days, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. It's the 2022 Premier Health Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, January 14th through the 17th. Don't miss out on a chance to see some of the best local and national teams and players. Huntington Prep, Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary's, Wayne, Dunbar, Centerville, and more. It's the 2022 Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, live from Trent Arena in Kettering. Get your tickets at flyingtothehoop.com/tickets.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Today on Hey Culligan's Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
You may be into punk rock, soft rock, or classic rock, R&B, hip-hop, or house, country, techno, or techno country. But no matter what kind of music you listen to, here's something else you should hear. Please consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your pharmacist today about Comirnaty, COVID-19 vaccine mRNA. This message brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Jermaine Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0.9% financing on the 22 Honda Pilot, Honda Passport, and Honda HR-V, and as low as 1.9% financing on all other 22 Hondas while supplies last. We can get the Honda you're looking for. We are taking deposits on current scheduled in-build 22 Hondas every day. See me, sales manager Jason High, for all the details. We're located Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Jermaine Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
All right, that wraps it up for us here this afternoon. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. Shout out to former Cincinnati Bengal MVP quarterback Ken Anderson. Was awesome enough to hop on the show with us earlier today. If you missed it, Ken Anderson, he knows how I am. He knows, and he took a shot at the Browns right off the bat. Here's Ken Anderson earlier today first hour of the show when we had him on. Ken, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Were the Browns playing this next week?
Really? That's how we're going to. That's fair. You know, it's the Bengals week. It's fair.
You know, you wanted to go ahead and blow your horn about beating the Bengals twice this year, and you should beat our backups last week. Congratulations, and just enjoy the off season.
Damn. I mean, he brought the heat. He brought the smoke. But you know what? Good for Ken Anderson. He brought up the fact that we beat their backups. Fair is fair. The Browns finally got to play a team playing all their backups the way the Bengals got to play the Ravens twice and a lot of the teams that they got to. I mean, good for them. Good for them. The Bengals had their COVID outbreak on their off week against the Browns. How convenient. So, but yes, Ken Anderson, thank you for coming on. And, and see, people think that, someone heard, keep hating. We'll see if he ever comes on again. He's been on 3 times. In fact, he ended the interview with, have me on more, would you? See, that's the thing. These former athletes have more balls than half of you who can't handle anyone criticizing your team. For instance, this Ron Mullins on Facebook, Kev, you're stupid. That's what this guy with kids probably, great role model, by the way. I hope your kids aren't like you. You're stupid. You have a different opinion than me, so you're stupid. That's Ron Mullins. Shout out to Ron Mullins. Great guy. I wonder what he does for a living. Whatever he does, I hope he's as good at his job as he thinks he is at doing mine. That's all I got to say. First blow up of the new year. So good to close out the show today. So good.
Made it all the way to the 10th.
Well, it is what he's mad. Look, and by the way, I don't care. Bottom line is, I don't think records should be broken meaningless games, unless it comes naturally within the competitiveness of the game. But when Jamar Chase warmed up specifically to go play for 10 plays, just to break this record and then go sit on the sidelines, come on. If you were going to sit, if the record was broke last week, he wouldn't have played yesterday. So he should not have played yesterday. If the game was meaningless, which you waved that flag, which is fine, by the way, it was meaningless. I have no problem with teams resting their starters in the final week before the playoffs. It makes sense. But to me, you don't get to wave that flag that it's a meaningless game and then throw your receiver out there to go break a record just so you can brag about your record-setting wide receiver, who I've already acknowledged is good, but I didn't need him to break that record for me to acknowledge that he's good. I actually just think it was kind of a weak move. That's all. I'd be saying that about anybody. Not because I'm a Bengals hater. It's because I'm an equal opportunist. I think it's a weak move across the board. Anyways.
Kenner is back.
Mike Haywood, how bad are Browns DBs that they know the guy is running 10 plays with backup QB? Mike, you've said a lot of dumb things today. That's one of the dumbest ones. It is what it is. He's good. You're not going to stop Jamar Chase. Except for 6 weeks in the middle of the season when he couldn't catch a ball and he couldn't do anything for more than 45 yards. I'm just saying, but outside of that, you can't stop Jamar Chase. Also led the league in rookie drops. Just throwing that out there, too. All right, New Year, same me. It is what it is. But no, good stuff today. Be back at it tomorrow. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He's a Raider fan. Mm-hmm. So we'll get the Raiders' perspective on the show tomorrow. So it is what it is. Mike Haywood says, so weird he goes, that's weird. The other team stopped him. No, he stopped himself. He kept dropping wide open passes throwing to him. You ain't going to get me on that. It's what it is. Mike, I appreciate you. Even though Ron Mullins, horrible role model to kids. You're stupid. That's what he does.
Who's winning tonight?
Ask Ron. I'm stupid. I don't know.
Ron, who's winning tonight?
Don't ask him. He's banned. Who's winning tonight, by the way?
Georgia, 24-17.
Oh, you know what? What about the 30 for 30? You know what?
Oh, God, I couldn't.
It's coming. I'm doing it. 30 for 30. Coming your way on tomorrow's show. I don't know what it is yet. It might be, what if I told you that Jamar Chase is not the record holder for the most receiving?
You should do one on Baker.
What if I told you that if Baker was healthy, the Browns would be in the playoffs and not your
You
Pittsburgh
should do one
Steelers?
On yourself.
What if that'd be a great piece, though. We would need way more. That'd be 30 for 30. That'd be a 60 for 60, man. 30 for 30 coming your way tomorrow on the Cincinnati Bengals. What if I told you that Jamar Chase is not the record setter for the most receiving yards by a rookie receiver in the season? Coming your way tomorrow. What if I told you that health and COVID is what led to the AFC North Championship? What if I told you? Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Until tomorrow, it's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, presented by Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, and Brad Mays with Home Expert Grill. Ken, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Where are the Browns playing this next week?
Really? That's how
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right.